we do here is go back, 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 back.
And happy Friday to everybody here. Anybody who's just now joining, welcome. Welcome to our Friday show. This is Tuned In Live. I know I don't go live with these enough, usually because I either have something to do or I am extremely tired. Luckily this morning, I did get some sleep. I was ready to go live and I was still tired after a long night's sleep. I took last night off and I'll tell you guys why in a little bit, so I want to say welcome everybody watching on Kick, Twitch, and on YouTube. If you guys are new here, if you're just now joining in, if you enjoy today's content, if you enjoy today's podcast, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that follow down below. If you want to follow us on social media, Discord, and everything else, links for everything is down below in the description section. So welcome today, guys. We got a little bit to talk about today. Got quite a bit. Let me go ahead and talk to you guys about why I said I took off last night from work. So, yesterday was a funeral for a relative of mine, my dad's aunt, who I've known for a long time. I never really visited her much, talked to her much, but I did talk to her, from time to time. I remember her and her husband, my Uncle Clarence, growing up, seeing them at cookouts, barbecues, pool parties, stuff like that, He was one of my dad's favorite aunts. He would talk to her on and off just about every day for the last few years, and she passed away last week. And we were just waiting for, funeral arrangements and stuff. So depending on the day that the funeral took place, I would take off for it, and we would go down there for the viewing, the funeral services and all that. So it was yesterday, and I took off yesterday, and we went up there. It was in Berkeley County, West Virginia. That's where I got family that lives up there. I know. I told Jeff, he was like, "Oh, did you see Hubbard up there?" I was like, "Nah, Hubbard's on the other side of West Virginia." And I know a lot of people sit there and they'll look at West Virginia and it's like, "Oh, that's inbred state, that's where the cousins have sex with each other and shit." And like, well, that's on the other side of West Virginia. That's on the side that's all mountainy and have all the forests and stuff like that. The ones that live in the woods and play the fucking banjos and shit. That's all the way out there. But on the end toward Maryland, that's where all the normal folk live. That's where my family lives too. But I will say, like, West Virginia, running along before you get to the Appalachian Mountains and stuff, because the Appalachian Mountains, they run from like Cumberland through West Virginia through Virginia. I think it's a long way. It's like there's just so many myths, rumors, and legends that run along the that whole line. Like being haunted or some mystical creatures living up there. I would love to be up there sometime in the future and just check it out. But I tell you, like, if you're like in Frederick, going up into like the very north tip of Virginia where it meets the line right there and such, even into West Virginia. There's a lot of beautiful land out there. I tell you, especially in Frederick, a lot of beautiful land. I would love to live somewhere out there, you know, where you can kick back and, you know, just enjoy, you know, just sitting out in your backyard or something, looking at all that open space, the hills and the mountainsides in the distance. You know, that's the kind of stuff I love. That's like when I ventured down into Luray, Virginia a couple years ago, and I got footage. You know, we stayed at a motel down there, and just looking at the hills, you know, in the distance, it's just very, it's just something that's, it's just very comfortable. It's very settling for me, and I could just sit there and just enjoy the view all day. I wouldn't need to read a book. I wouldn't need to keep myself occupied with a cell phone or something. You know, just to sit there and enjoy the comfort of the countryside. That's the kind of life I like to live. You know, I like to be able to enjoy just sitting there, you know. So, but yeah, we went down there. You know, we had the funeral. It's a nice little service. I talked to a couple family members who it only seems like when it comes to family, relatives and such, if you don't put the effort into seeing them and talking to them and all, it always seems like the only other times that you really talk to family members or see them is when some kind of tragedy happens. It's always like a funeral or something, you know. And I've been to quite a funerals in my life in the last 25 years, actually. Wow. So yeah, it's been like for the last 25 years I've been going through funeral after funeral after funeral. You know, my great grandmother, all of my grandparents, basically. There was a couple that I never really got to go to, especially if they were like privately held, that kind of thing. And I was just sitting there the other night at work and thinking about it, like, you know, my dad just lost his aunt. You know, I mean, there's not too many people on the spectrum that my dad can sit here and call and talk to for like an hour or so, you know, just to have some kind of comfort. I mean, he talks to us, he talks to family in the house and such, so, you know, that's all good. But, you know, he used to talk to his uncle, my great uncle, who lived down in Florida for a while, and then he just passed away like suddenly back in 2021. Nobody even really knows what happened. He just didn't wake up one day. And then my dad's brother, my uncle Gary, he passed away, I think it was before that or not too long after that. He died of cancer. And I know my mom, she passed away back in 2016. That's around the time when I started doing YouTube, and it was a time where I guess I needed something to help me cope with, you know, me losing my mom and going through a depressive state, you know, with that. You know, there's a lot of times where I still wish my mom was still here. You know, there's a lot of things I could tell her or share with her and all. So yeah, if your parents are still alive, cherish these moments, spend every second that you can with them, you know. And my dad, he lost a friend of his, a childhood friend of his. I forgot how long ago that was. It was, I want to say around the same time my mom passed away, maybe. And then my dad, you know, his uncle Clarence, he passed away not even a year ago. And then following behind is his wife, his Aunt Celie. She died last week. So it's like, I'm just sitting there thinking, like, everybody's just dropping dead. Like, all these people that I remember, you know, as a child going to these cookouts and seeing and talking to. And it's like, I mean, at least you have them in your memories and have them in your heart. That's the most important thing, you know. But death, it's just like, it's something about death that really takes a toll on a lot of us. You start to think about it. Like, you hear about death every day on social media. You hear about it in the news, and you're like, God, what is going on? There's a shooting somewhere. There's a stabbing somewhere. And I will say the word kill on here. I'll say the word murder. I'm not going to follow these trends where on TikTok, if you say anything other than unalive, you will be banned and struck. Like, nah, fuck that. That's like recently, I think I told you guys, if you guys remember, I had opened a second TikTok account, because the first one, well, I shut the first one down because that's when they were closing down TikTok and banning it, but then they decided, nope, 90-day extensions, okay. So I made another one for gameplay clips and compilations to put on there. But the music I put on there, you know, TikTok is like, nah, we're not going to allow it. It's copyrighted material. So they would mute my shit, right? And I would still upload it here on YouTube, right? Now, YouTube, they're trying to follow that trend, but all I do is just appeal it, dispute it, and I would win the appeals. And my videos tend to stay, which is pretty cool. TikTok, on the other hand, they'll either take your shit down or they'll just mute it entirely. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. So if anybody sees me on or tries to find me on TikTok again, I no longer am on TikTok. I just said, fuck it. What's the fucking point? You know, I spend a lot of time on TikTok looking up videos and posting stuff on there. Not allowed to stream, not allowed to post your own content on there, not allowed to, you know, tweak it in any way like a lot of other people do on there. You know, they'll upload videos with music and shit like that. It's copywritten, but they're allowed to have it. Why not me, you know? So yeah, TikTok, to hell with them. Fuck them. That's the platform where it's like, you gotta stay unalive or we'll ban you, we'll strike you, fuck you. You know, murder is a word that's been in the dictionary for over 100 years, well, for as long as the dictionary's been around, but it's been a word in the language of us humans, you know, for as long as we possibly know, maybe like, you know, since the days of Christopher Columbus or the Native Americans and all, you know, we've know what the word kill means, the word murder means. It's their fucking words. Why should we allow a communistic system on the internet sit there and try to censor us from using words that have been around for hundreds of fucking years, thousands of fucking years, you know? The word kill, it means to, what does it mean? To basically end somebody's life, unalive them in a sense, you know? But now, you got the liberals that are running these systematic systems, but I just sit there and look at them and say, yeah, fuck you, I'm going to use whatever I want. It's you all who's in violation of the Constitution, not me. I use the Constitution to my fullest extent. Democrats don't like the use of anything, you know. They don't like the use of freedom. They don't like anybody using the Constitution in any way. They abolish it. They want to abolish it. In fact, I've always mentioned on here that I listen to people like Charlie Kirk, who goes from campus to campus, you know, interviewing kids and shit, talking about how, yes, college is a scam. College is a scam. Like, what the hell are they teaching you in college? They're teaching you garbage in college. They're teaching you that if you're a man, you're not a man. You have no gender. You could be whatever the fuck you want. It's normal for people to go around and become inanimate objects and shit. So you got these campuses, these colleges that are constantly telling these kids that pay out thousands of fucking dollars. You're not there for an education. You're there for a life retweaking. Now that's me saying that, and that's the goddamn truth. You know, high school, I'm pretty sure they don't, you know, they're not allowed to teach that type of curricula. They try to, with the whole LGBT and all that fucking bullshit. I remember when fucking George Floyd, the whole shit with George Floyd. I remember my daughter's school, they tried to have this little event or something that they were, not an event, but I guess it was something in their curriculum where they're talking about how George Floyd, you know, his life was taken by a police officer. Like, nobody knows what happened that day. You only see the half of the fucking shit that happens. And then it's glorified in the news, and people are like, oh my god, this white person, this white cop killed a black guy. He was on his neck. The guy said, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. The guy was telling him, I can't breathe, well before that fucking shit. Long before that fucking shit. But nobody wants to see that video. Oh no, the video's been up for what, 4 or 5 fucking years? No one wants to see that shit. Oh fuck no. That's the kind of shit kids are in middle school, high school, and even elementary school are being fucking taught, right? They're being taught the democratic fucking way. Just like right now, you know, kids in college, they're not getting an education. They're getting brainwashed by fucking liberal, fascist, communist motherfuckers. I will give you one example. Okay, I'm going to play this clip for you guys. This is from, I think it's from Charlie Kirk. Listen to this one.
Can a man have a baby? No.
There actually was a recent womb transplant in the UK.
Can a man have a baby, yes or no?
Yes.
No, my God.
So this is not Charlie Kirk. I don't remember how I came across this. This ain't Charlie Kirk, but it's along the same lines of things. But just listen to this shit.
You're not this libtarded. You know that a man does not have a womb, cannot have a baby. You know this. See, this is the sad thing, is that I come to these college campuses, and I understand you seem like a smart individual, but if you're seriously coming up here and saying that a man can have a baby, you're retarded. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I'm sorry to be like that, and I don't want to use that word, but you know that a man doesn't have a uterus, does not have the building blocks to make a baby, does not have the eggs to make a baby. So for you to say that, it just shows you that you're not living in reality. You're living in this weird simulation where a guy can be a girl and a girl can be a guy, and girls have penises and boys have uteruses. Can a man...
That's one thing that kids today in college are being taught. And that guy was right. I would say the exact same words. He called the kid retarded. The kid is fucking retarded. He is fucking retarded as shit. You are severely fucking mentally retarded if you sit there and think a man can produce a fucking baby. There was a fictional movie that came out back in the 90s called Junior with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. I haven't seen the movie, but I know the premises where he's like an experiment in something of a man giving birth to a baby or something like that. That's a movie. It's Hollywood. It's a movie. Get over it, you know? Men do not have the organs, the body parts, anything of that nature to produce a child. We don't have the hormones. We don't have the structure for it. Men cannot and have never produced a child in their body. We don't even have the fucking opening for it, man. What do you expect? Do you expect him to fucking goatsy your asshole open or surgically remove your dick to pull them out or some shit? Like, how... I guarantee you, these college professors, as retarded as they are for teaching this shit, let me tell you something. These college professors, they are laughing all the way to the bank with this shit. They see a bunch of suckers who vote Democrat, who support the likes of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Barack Obama and Tim Walz and all these fucking other idiots in Congress. These are the same motherfuckers that are like, I want to go to college and get a degree so I can get a better job, mommy. Can you pay for it? Sure. Let me give you a check for money that I don't have, right? $15,000, you say? Oh, $20,000. Okay. So you give that money to these colleges and shit, and these goddamn professors, they're taking your money. These professors, these schools are taking your money. They're not giving you the education you're paying for. Oh, fuck no. They'll feed you a bunch of bullshit, and then if you make it all the way through, they give you a piece of paper, say, here you go, good luck. Where do you get a job at with that, huh? Tell me how many people in today's world, today's rules and standards, how many people with a college degree actually get the career that they went and studied for? The number is very minimal. It's a very minimal percent. That's my thinking. Let me look it up. Okay, how many college graduates use their degree? Okay. Oh, it's a small number. 27.3% of graduates work in a job closely related to their college major within 1 year of graduation. 61% of females and 67% males, recent college graduates with bachelor's degree, are employed as of October 2020. Even though these numbers are all statistic and they can be forged. Like, look at COVID-19. Look at all those numbers. They were fucking forged. 60% of American college graduates are employed full-time, which indicates a significant number are not fully utilizing their full degrees. These statistics highlight the varying degrees of employment and relevance of college degrees on the job market. So it's not all of America, though. And they're not utilizing the full degrees at all. My uncle and my aunt, they both have their degrees. They both have the degrees. They're still in debt from, the courses that they took and all. And they're paying it off. But my uncle, he works, I think it's at a warehouse, I think it is. And he busts his ass Monday through Friday, making a decent living. My aunt works at an art store, or arts and crafts store, making good money as a manager, or doing management. Now, those type of jobs, is that something that requires a college degree? No. Fuck no. Because depending on where you live, and if you have the money to travel out and all, you probably could find something in, New York? Maybe in D.C., maybe in California. Anywhere with a major city that has a lot of different careers out there or something. Maybe if you pursue it properly, I guess. I don't know. But let me tell you something. There are more people on the workforce with a high school diploma that are getting better paying jobs than a lot of people that have a degree out there. That's why I think, college is a complete scam. You're paying thousands of dollars to go to a school where they teach you a bunch of bogus bullshit. What's going on, viral stuff? You go to a college, you're being taught these things. Men can be women, women can be men. You can identify as a record player. You can identify as a refrigerator. Don't let anybody tell you different. You can take the term pronouns and label yourself with different labels and names and shit. That's not what pronoun has meant over 20 years ago. Back in the 80s or the 90s, or even for as long as the word has been around for pronoun, nobody's ever identified themselves as a fucking lawnmower or a weed whacker or something. This is only something recent within the last 5 to 10 years, where people decided, I'm going to be retarded for a living. I'm tired of being normal. I'm tired of acting like a human being. I'm going to be retarded as a motherfucker and call myself a PS2. I'm going to call myself a fountain pen. Stupid fucking shit, Maybe somebody's going to grow long hair and call themselves fucking Sasquatch, I don't care. I don't fucking know. But a vast majority of these people are ones that went to college and claim, I'm smarter than you. I have more common sense than you. I went to college and got a degree. Who the fuck told you all this shit? My college professors. They must all be smart. Guess what? There is no God. There is no religion. Donald Trump is a rapist and a fascist and a piece of shit. Who taught you all this? The colleges did. But I'm making my own scientific observations with it. They don't even know the anatomy or the biology of a human body. I can't tell you how many fucking videos that I've come across Charlie Kirk going to campuses asking women, actual women, what is a woman? They cannot answer a simple fucking question. I wish I had one of those videos here. I wish I did. I was looking at one, I think, this morning, and I thought I saved it, and apparently I didn't. I'm looking through, at least even on Facebook here. But usually, they might have taken it down, because that's the whole way of, that's the whole thing of Facebook. If you post something, if you save something, if you share something, they take that shit down. They take it down, because, that's not actual information. That's not factual information. It's all fake. We don't want that shit on our platform. Well, maybe we don't want to be on your fucking platform then. But I shared a lot of different clips, and some of them, there's like, where the hell did they go? I will share this one with you, okay? When it comes to talking about religion and shit, all right, get a load of this fucking girl on campus. Like, she has got to be so fucking dumb when it comes to. So in her mind, God is a woman. God is a woman. That's the mentality of a lot of these people. God is a woman. You don't know what God is. God is a force. God is a being.
Word godmother.
Slow down. So the word. What is the word God in Hebrew?
That doesn't matter.
Okay, it does. It's
You said Abba, right?
No, it's not. That's
You're dancing around my point and you won't answer it.
Okay,
I want the audience to hear.
So it's Adonai or it's Jehovah, both
Can
of
I
which
call God
are
mother?
both of which are non-gendered language.
Can God be called mother?
Wrongly can be called mother.
That's not-
In
he's also
the
called
New
father.
Testament, it was God the Father, and it was the word Abba, which is not mother.
Okay.
So
now
so I am
all
a
you're
Christian.
explaining- I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut you off because you continue
You're
to
gonna
dance
have to cut me
around.
off?
Yeah, because you never answer my question.
Am I answering her question? I think I'm actually doing a pretty good job.
You need to stop preaching to me. You're telling me right
Well,
now.
you know
that
what?
he-
Actually, it makes me
No,
want to
no, no,
preach
no.
even more. God
He's-
loves you so
you're not
much
answering my
that He
question,
sent
though. Why are
His
you not
only
debating
begotten
me?
Son.
You're not
That if you
debating me.
take and give your life to
Look at the
Jesus
fucking
Christ,
thing he's
that
doing.
you will
You're
live
not
forever. In
debating
fact,
me.
what's your
You're
name? Let me
not
pray for you,
debating me.
Lord. I pray
You're
that
not
you will
debating-
make a move
This is
of God
called a pivot.
upon this
we-
young woman here. That you will
Have we
come
heard
into
of a
her
pivot?
life and
Have
that
we
you
heard
will
of a pivot?
intercess and that she
Have
will
we
be
heard of a
dancing in
pivot?
heaven together. In
You're
your
not
holy
debating.
name,
Is this
we
a
pray
debate?
to Father God
a debate?
in the name of Jesus Christ.
What-
Amen.
how-
Thank you so much.
And that's how you cut those people
Your
off.
godmother.
That's how you cut those idiots off. Like, for somebody to act that fucking retarded, like, the word God is mother, they have no prior or proper education to shit like that. What's going on, Hoyt? Yeah, I identify as a goddamn 2005 Dodge Ram. Don't like how I see definition and stuff. But that is sad, man. It's sad that these are fucking college. They're in college. They're not even college graduates yet. What the hell are these people fucking learning? What are these people learning in these goddamn schools? If you want to learn more about religion, about God, ask your parents if they're religious or anything. Ask family or friends, or even go to college. Not college. Jesus Christ. Go to church. Don't go to college. If you want to learn about religion, go to church. You'll get a better education at church than you will in a college. But the mentality of these people are like, well, don't in churches, don't priests molest you and rape you and shit like that. That's not every fucking church, though. Yes, there have been some dirty priests out there, some real crooked, dirty ministers out there who have behind the scenes had sex with choir boys and stuff like that. Yeah, that's all been exposed. But that's not every church. It's not every religion. Saying that is like, okay, if you're somebody who sits there and say, okay, well, all police officers are dirty and crooked because one cop shot and killed a black man in a traffic stop. Well, do you know the whole story behind it? Yeah, he pulled his gun out on the guy and shot him. Well, do you know the whole story behind it? All you see is one clip that's being fed to you, force-fed to you through social media and the news media. That guy could have had a gun. That guy could have been a threat to the police officer's life. The police officer would have died, and he did the next best thing to protect his life. So you don't know. Or the fact that, yes, there are crooked police officers out there. Not just in one state. This spreads throughout the entire nation. There's even police officers that are crooked in other countries. But why should we, as a society, damn the entire law enforcement over the actions of one or two cops? I sure as hell don't. Yes, I know there are crooked cops out there. Yes, I know there's a fine line when it comes to the law and enforcing the law. Police officers do have boundaries. Yes, I understand that. But then there's police officers that will stretch that and they go vigilante on people. Very vigilant. There are cops out there that will go above and beyond using their force, their power force against people to take a life. Most recently, I don't know what state it was in. I vaguely read about it, where a cop shot a kid, an autistic kid. In fact, let me look that article up right now. Let's see, cop who shot autistic kid. And that was most recent, though. That was most recent. Let's see, from the AP News. This was April 8th. Okay, so this was a month ago. This happened a month ago. Outrage builds as the video shows that Idaho police officer shooting a knife-wielding autistic teenager. Yeah, even though I'm not a hugely into religion most of the time, it's still better than the modern yeah. I don't even understand that, why, modern day trans religions. Like, what the fuck is that? This is new made up shit by the trans community, Trans. Maybe identify as a fucking transmission. Oh wait, that'll come next. It'll be like, that's not in our language. Call a transmission something else on a car. Motherfucker, transmission's been a fucking thing for the last 100 and some years when it comes to automobiles. Go fuck yourself. Then again, you probably fucking will, so yeah, go fuck yourself. So this article. Now, before I do anything, where is Discord at? So, like I do with every article that I read, if you guys want to follow along, if you guys want to check up on it at any time after the show, during the show, whatever, I'm going to put this article in the Discord under TuneIn Live Scraps. If you guys want to take a gander at it at some point, let me know your thoughts on it. So, Idaho police officers opened fire from behind a chain link fence. Christ, I'm still tired. I just woke up like an hour ago. Just seconds after exiting their patrol cars and critically wounding a teenage boy described by his family as nonverbal, autistic, and intellectually disabled as he stepped forward toward them with a knife. Video from the witnesses show. 17-year-old Victor Perez, who also has cerebral palsy, remained hospitalized in critical condition Tuesday after having 9 bullets removed from his body. 9 fucking bullets, guys. 9 bullets. Why did these officers fire a total of 9 bullets? And I'm looking at this coverage here, and it looks like there's a total of 4 officers. 2 or 3, 3 armed with pistols, 1 armed with a fucking shotgun, all aimed at this kid, and he's in his yard. Why was there 4 officers with their weapons drawn at 1 kid and unloading 9 bullets into this kid? Excessive force. That's the first thing I would have fired them all on, is excessive force, use of their firearms. There was no real immediate threat. I could see if the kid had a gun and he was firing at the cops, yes, their lives would have been in danger. If he had a gun, it should have been a completely different outcome. Yeah, he would have got gunned down because he's a threat to himself, he's a threat to the neighboring society, he's a threat to the cops. But you see this kid in the yard holding a knife. You don't shoot this kid 9 times to down him. So yes, that is excessive force there. Let's see. Removed 9 bodies from his body and having his leg amputated. Anna Vanquez, his aunt, told the Associated Press doctors were planning tests on his brain activity. We don't know if he's going to wake up. The shooting Saturday in Pocatello, I guess that's the name of the town, outraged the boy's family and neighbors, as well as viewers online who questioned why the officers opened fire within about 12 seconds of exiting their patrol cars, while making no apparent effort to de-escalate the situation or use less lethal weapons. Dozens of protesters gathered outside the police department Sunday. See, that's exactly what I don't get. I don't get, like, why the use of so much excessive force, especially cops are usually armed with tasers too. Why didn't one of the officers just tase the kid? And don't they have special weapons that are loaded with rubber bullets? Yeah, they put a sting on you, but they're not going to end your life. Why does it got to be very excessive? Why does it got to be live ammunition to end this kid's life? There's no indication the police were aware of the boy's condition. The police barely spoke to anybody. They just said, get back, and they shot him. They shot to kill. So none of them decided to de-escalate him. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. And this happened a month ago. They did not do anything to de-escalate the situation. The kid had a knife. They could not one of them could sit there and say, "Hey, whoa, son, whoa, put the knife down. I'm not here to harm you," or anything like that. They just all got out of their car and just boom, boom, boom. In a video statement posted by the Pocatello Police Department's Facebook page on Monday, Chief Roger Shea said he wanted to provide clarity, share any information we can at this stage, and address some misconceptions that have emerged. We understand the concern and emotion surrounding the officer-involved shooting that occurred. We are also aware of the video circulating online, which shows only one angle. The full picture requires careful review of all the facts and evidences. Or the fact that it's not just the fact that it's a one-angle camera shot. It's the fact that, from what people see, these cops still armed with 4 weapons, 4 of them, opened fire on this kid who they said was wielding a knife, right? Why the hell did you all fire all at once? Why didn't somebody use a taser on the kid? Less lethal. Definitely effective. And there's just so much more to this article. Let's see. Questions for the police. So Shea said that he would not answer questions about the shooting because of an investigation being conducted by the East Idaho Critical Incident Task Force. In situations like this, officers must make decisions in seconds. They assess threats not just to themselves, but those nearby. In this case, 2 individuals were within a few feet of an armed, non-compliant individual. The risk was immediate and the situation rapidly evolving. The Pocatello Police Department did not immediately respond to emails seeking further comment Tuesday, including questions about whether the officers were carrying tasers or other less lethal options. That's what I'm saying. Usually police officers would be armed with tasers or rubber bullets or something less lethal. Why did it have to immediately escalate to 3 pistols and a shotgun? Why did it have to escalate to that? There is no fucking excuse whatsoever. If this kid's chasing somebody around his fucking yard with a knife, they should exit the yard and run for their fucking life, you know? I would. Like, we don't know what happened, what escalated that part of the whole fucking situation. Let's see, Vasquez said the family had never called the police for help with the boy in the past, and that this is his first interaction with the law enforcement. Across the country, police departments are increasing training for officers or best ways to identify and interact with people who may have development and intellectual disabilities, including many trainings centering on autism. The trainings also often focus in on ways people on the autism spectrum react to outside stimulus like noise or touching. That can be seen as resisting commands or resisting arrest to someone not on the spectrum. How long, how many years, or even decades, has autism been a diagnosis for people? How long has autism been around for? Let's find out. How long has autism been around? The history of autism as a formal diagnosis began in 1911. So we were diagnosing people with autism for 100, let's see, 100, 110, 114 years. 114 years, doctors have been diagnosing people with autism. Swiss psychiatrist Paul Eugene Bleuer, I don't know, coined the term, using it to describe what he believed to be the childhood version of schizophrenia. And you know what's something else? I was actually talking to Mel and a couple friends about this 2 days ago. How nobody diagnoses schizophrenia anymore. It's a lot of different things now. You know, they try to make up new terms or coin old terms into something, you know, or they try to just umbrella everything under one term. Autism is a childhood form of schizophrenia. So, autism being a diagnosis for a lot of people. And it has been a real big thing within the last 20 years or so, right? I don't know why my alarm's going off twice. So now all of a sudden, hasn't been a thing during the Obama administration or the first Trump administration or even the Biden administration. All of a sudden, Trump gets back in to fix the country. His first 100 days, and you got these Democrats that are like, oh, these were his worst first 100 days. No, these were the better first 100 days. The better. You see so much retarded activity going on in the media and on social media. And now you got children with autism that are under the attack. They're under attack. Why are we targeting children who suffer from autism all of a sudden? It makes no sense. It is a thing. It's a terrible thing. What's up, Jeff? Yeah, I don't know how long you've been in here for, Jeff. I was talking about the incident that happened in Idaho a month ago where the cops shot an autistic kid who was wielding a knife. But yeah, autism has been around for over 100 years. And now all of a sudden, you know, it's become a big thing where it's like, okay, now we're attacking kids with autism. We're attacking them. We're shooting to kill. All of a sudden. It makes no goddamn sense. Now, as far as these cops go, like I've been saying, and I've been reading in this article, why didn't these cops use less lethal force? Every cop is usually armed with their firearm, a stun gun, a baton, if they still use batons, I don't know, handcuffs, and whatever else. Why didn't he use it? Is there even a video on that page? I know there's a picture. It's just a picture. Loading ad. I don't want to see a fucking ad, but okay. Can I skip it? There we go. This video contains graphic violence. Viewer discretion. Oh, Christ. Alright, I'm watching a video now, guys. The kid's on the ground. I'm guessing it's his mom or sister who tried to help him up. He turned around. He tried to slash at her.
Red truck, red Jeep.
I don't even understand what's going on here. The poor kid's he's laying on the ground, you know. He's like, I guess his parents or somebody in the yard was trying to help him, and he just has a knife. Here goes the first cop. The second. Here comes the third one with a shotgun. Jesus Christ. Wow. It didn't even show footage of the cops shooting him, but you heard it. And you heard them screaming. So let me see. I don't know if I would be able to. Let me see. What screen? Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm trying to get the window capture here. Okay. Okay, so video. There we go. Alright, let's blow that up for you guys here. I'm going to readjust it. Now, mind you, anybody who is watching, if this is too much for you guys, you can look away and come back in a second. But this is the video. See the kid on the ground right there? They're trying to keep him pinned down. They're, you know, he already has friends or family who's trying to disarm him.
Red truck, red Jeep. Oh, yep, they're here. Yep, I'm watching from out there. Yep, they're all there. Okay, bye.
They didn't even give the kid a chance. Holy shit. Damn. They didn't even give the kid a chance. They didn't even try to talk the kid down. They just saw this kid as a immediate threat. Yeah, there was something wrong with the kid. He's autistic. But still, I mean, I understand, like, okay, the people in the yard probably made things worse for him. I don't know what the story is with that. I mean, you saw the one girl in there. She was trying to keep the kid down because he had a knife. And then she was poking him with a stick or a broom or something. I don't know, because he had a knife. So already, he was a threat to the family, of course, but he's autistic. You know, he don't know what he's doing. He don't know what's going on. So law enforcement, you're supposed to be trained for these kind of situations, right? Negotiations and stuff like that. You have 4 Barney Fifes, armed to the T, coming in, aiming their guns right at this kid, told him to stop. Nobody tried to de-escalate. He was on the other side of the fence, as you guys saw. There's a chain link fence separating him from these cops. He wasn't even really in a threatening manner. He was just standing there holding the fucking knife. He wasn't like, I want to kill you. You know, he wasn't like that at all. And they just gunned him down like he's nothing. They gunned this poor kid down. Mowing them down. I'm not saying what the kid did was wrong. You know, he wasn't in the proper state of mind. He wasn't. Mental illness is a severe thing that people need to learn up on and learn. They need to learn how to deal with it. Because there's a lot of families out there who have children who are disabled like this. It's a hard thing to cope with. It's a hard thing to deal with. I understand. But that's what true parents do. They learn about these things. They learn about these diagnoses, and they do whatever they can for their children. This is what's going to be with them for the rest of their lives. This is the kind of stuff, okay, even though it's diagnosed, it's a diagnosis for kids and all. But switching over to politics for a little bit, this is the stuff as to why Robert Kennedy is looking into the FDA and all that, banning all these food dyes, because they strongly believe that food dyes and a lot of artificially processed things into the foods that we eat can lead to these kind of diagnoses, to these kind of disorders. Who knows? What do they tell women when they're pregnant? Don't smoke, don't do drugs, don't drink alcohol. How many women do you see out there that are like, oh, I've been drinking whiskey all my whole first term of, you know, when my first kid, he turned out right. Or I've been smoking cigarettes all my time, he turned out right. Drugs have a more negative effect and all. But yeah, doing those kind of things like drinking and smoking and doing drugs while you're pregnant, they do have an effect on the kid. It's not going to show up probably right away, but, you know, once they're born, they start, you know, showing signs, and yeah. I mean, everybody's heard the term crack babies, you know, children that are addicted to crack cocaine and shit. That is a true thing. Yeah, if it had been really bad, I'm sorry, but you should probably be in a home. Yeah. Exactly. Like, this kid, he should have been looked after. If he's a danger to society, if he is that dangerous to harm somebody's life, and he don't even know he's doing it, have them admitted into a hospital. Now, there's a thin blue line with all that. Like, you know, we read stories, we see things, we watch movies and such of how children and patients are treated in mental hospitals and all. But is that really so, though? I mean, it has happened. There are statistics and stories about how people were treated in mental asylums over the last 100, 200 years ago, maybe, you know? That's why a lot of these places are abandoned and shut down and they're haunted and stuff, you know, because people were mistreated. I mean, it is horrible, you know, it really is. Like, you have somebody where their mind is developed in a sense where they don't know what they're doing. There are possible harm to themselves, harm to others. You know, it's a matter of being strong and trying to deal with it, try to help them out. They're only human. You know, they're only human beings. And they're somebody's kid, you know? And I know, sadly, when you look at something like that, yes, there are fucking horror movies out there where kids with severe mental trauma turn into serial killers and shit. Look at movies like Halloween, Michael Myers. Nobody understood why that poor kid murdered his sister. Nobody understands that shit at all. That's the kind of stuff you see every day. You see it in the media. You see it on the news. You read about it on social media. You see it in movies and TV shows. It's all around us. These kind of things that glorify medical conditions like autism and Asperger's and such. They glorify it. But is that how it really is? On the spectrum, I'm guessing that is how it really is. But it's scary. It really is. And there's a lot of parents and families who don't know what they're dealing with. They don't understand what they're dealing with. If little Billy is cutting dolls' heads off and shaving his teddy bears and shit while singing about it, yes, I would be concerned before something escalates to possibly something like that. It is sad. But never with something like this should it be escalated to the possibility of a police department coming in and just unloading dozens of rounds into a child. And he's a teenager, yeah. He's still a kid. Still a kid at mind, you know? He don't understand what he's doing. But there is no reason whatsoever to be firing 9 rounds or more into a kid just to get him to stop. Why wasn't any of those police officers armed with a taser or anything less lethal? And I understand the family in the yard was trying to de-escalate the situation, you know, and this kid was holding his knife. He was determined. And then nobody knows the whole story as to what led up to it. All you got is somebody across the street with a phone filming this whole thing, as you guys saw. And luckily they did not, they kind of screen froze it right there when they started firing on the kid. Thank God your condition is only physical. I know when you look at things like that, you could only thank God that it's not you or somebody that you know that's affecting. I mean, we could all feel sorry for victims of that nature, even if they're not in relation to us. But you should never feel selfish to thank God that you're not in that position. Never feel selfish at all. And I know there are people out there that will use that as a disadvantage to you and be like, oh, well, you're jealous, you're selfish, you shouldn't feel like that, you should feel for them, da-da-da, it's sad. I'm like, yeah, it is sad, I feel for them too. But I'm also glad that it's not me. I'm not being selfish. That's me being human. I can feel sorry for this kid for up to a day or a month, be like, yeah, that was sad, it sucked, I'll go, pay my respects and all that, but I'm not going to make that one person the limelight of my life. I'm also going to be thankful that I'm not in that position myself. Not the fact of him being dead, no, but the fact of what his mental state was. That would be an extremely scary thing. Because we don't know what goes through a mind of somebody who is schizophrenic or autistic or anything. We don't know anything like that. We don't know what it's like. We don't know what they go through. It's scary. And just be thankful that it's not us. Look at actor Michael J. Fox, who suffers from Parkinson's. He goes through a lot, mentally and physically. That's why he had to retire. I had a family member on my dad's side. I wish I could remember her name. It's been so long ago since I've seen her. I think she's long passed. It was my Aunt Carol's mother. She lived with her and my Uncle Daryl for a long time, and growing up, I remember seeing her, times in the house or at some cookouts, and she would constantly shake. You see her head shaking, when she was communicating and moving back and forth, her head shaking. I never understood what it was. I never really understood it. I never even asked. But, years later, come to find out that she had Parkinson's. That's what Parkinson's does. Yeah, I feel sorry she had it and all, but, I look past the disability, and I still see him as a person, a human being, somebody I could talk to and interact with. Am I going to end up with Parkinson's? Probably not. I don't know how that runs in the family, Yeah, exactly. Like, sorry, I don't think going through that sounds very fun. Exactly. We don't know what it's like. Dementia. I've known quite a few people with dementia. My grandfather, he died from dementia back in 2018, 2019. And that's just as bad, or maybe even worse, than Parkinson's. Actually, they say dementia leads to Parkinson's, but dementia, you're going through a lot mentally, and you need somebody to be there for you, to help you. You're going to end up forgetting a lot of things. There was family members and such that were looking after my grandfather, reminding him to eat, helping him to the bathroom so he can use the bathroom, get him to bed and such. He even had some at home, I wouldn't want to say hospice care, but a special nurse that come out there every day to make sure the house was cleaned up, make sure my grandfather had something to eat, made sure he used the bathroom, bathed, got to bed and such. And they were there for just a few hours, just watching over him. But then you got people in that field of work, or even others, that will take advantage of elderly people in that condition. That's another sad thing too. There's people out there that will take advantage of you. If you got money paying for their services, yeah, they're going to take advantage of you. They're going to be like, okay, what's this old guy worth? What's this old bitch worth? What do they got? Can I, what can I take? They're not going to fucking know. They're going completely mental. They're not going to remember. If I take this TV out today, are they going to remember it being there tomorrow? Probably not. That kind of thing, There are people out there that will take advantage of somebody because of their severe mental disability. Yeah, that's a sad thing too. It really is. Just like these cops that showed up. All they know is they got a report of somebody wielding a knife in the fucking yard who was a possible threat. They all fucking come out with guns drawn. Put the knife down. Put the knife down. Well, we told them, open fire. Damn. It's sad though, man. It's sad that us as humans have to deal with this kind of thing. I mean, this is the hand that we're given. This is the hand we're drawn. We just lost an elderly relative on my mom's side with one of these two diseases the Monday before Easter. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that, man. We've been losing a lot of people lately. Like I said, you lost a relative. I just lost a relative last week. I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the stream. I was at her funeral yesterday. I even still got the card here if I can pull it out. Ugh, shit. Okay, we should. Okay, here we go. Yep. Memory of Cecilia. Born October 13th, 1936. Died May 12th. And I will make this a note here. Let's see. Let me look it up. So we were at the grave plot yesterday. And the priest started reciting some words. I guess it was something that was a saying or whatever that my great aunt Celia wanted to be read at her funeral yesterday. And I started listening to it, and I'm like, okay, I know this ain't Bible scripture. Yeah, 1936, yeah. She was 80... Let's see, she would have almost been 90. Yeah. She was 89 years old. 89 years old. I want to say, was it 89? No, she was 88. I'm sorry. She was born October 13th. So yeah, she was 88 years old. 88. So there was some words that the priest read yesterday at the gravesite. And I was listening to them. And it took me a second to realize what they were. So he started to read out a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to cry, a time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, time for hate, a time for peace. So it's too late. Those are the words that the priest read from a card. And I'm just sitting there like, why is it that? And I started to put the words together. Yeah, ours was in her early 90s. Oh, wow, yeah. Still too young for me. 80s, 90s. Lived to 110. That's old for me right there. But I'm reading those words, right? And I hear the priest mention those words. And I'm like, I heard that somewhere before. And then it clicked in my mind, this is where I heard it from. Apparently that must have been one of her favorite songs growing up, I guess, since the 60s. It does have a good meaning to it, too. For her to take the lyrics from that song and want it to be read at her funeral. So yeah, that was that was pretty clever, I guess. I guess that was pretty clever of them to use that, you know, just those words from that song, which was, it was pretty cool. I like that. I don't know if anybody else caught on with that, but I was like, well, I recognize where those words came from. It's not a Bible scripture, but okay. It is pretty nice. I like that, you know, that he read that at her, right there at the cemetery when we're all gathered. Everybody has their own ways. It's like, hey, at my funeral, I want this to be done. I want that to be done, you know? I remember when My Chemical Romance busted out on the scene with their debut album, you know, and their hit song, Helena. And I had a buddy. We were watching the music video for it, and the song was playing, and that was our favorite song, too. And he was like, you know what? When I die, I want this to be my funeral. I want this to be. He was like, I want everybody to be dressed in black, singing this song, and doing everything else. Oh shit! I don't know. I think with my funeral, I'm gonna be like, I want somebody to play "Highway to Hell" because that's exactly where I'm going. I always joke about that too. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fuck to hell. I know where I'm going. You say October 36. Ours was in October 32. Holy shit. What a coincidence, man. Yeah, she was born October 13th, 1936. And then, of course, actually, did I say May 12th? Hold on. So, I see where my dad was saying that there was a typo with this little card. She died May 2nd. They got May 12th on here. That's why I'm sitting there reading this. I was like, wait a minute, May 12th. No, it's the 9th right now. So I apologize to you guys if you're probably looking back on it. You're like, wait a minute, May 12th? What? It's not even the 12th yet. It's just the 9th. So yeah, I do see that now. Like, because I remember hearing my dad say something about that. He was reading this thing, and he was like, oh, there must be a typo. Funeral service was May 8th, and they got her date of death as May 12th. So she died May 2nd. It was last Friday, so it was May 2nd that she passed away. And of course, you know, they do have Psalm 23 on this card, which is, I guess it was, I don't know if it was her favorite psalm or just a psalm that they pull out, you know, when they do, you know, when they do the readings for the funerals. Yeah, May 2nd. 12th ain't happened yet. Yeah, I know. Funeral service was held by Pleasant View Memory Gardens in Kearneysville, West Virginia. And I told Jeff that I went to West Virginia for a funeral. He's like, "Did you see Hubbard?" I'm like, "Oh, Hubbard's on the other side of fucking West Virginia, where all the inbreds, incest families live at." No, my family, my side of the family, they all live on the good side of West Virginia. I call it, where people actually are normal, But yeah, Psalm 23. I guess anybody really hears this, at a funeral. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness in his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me in all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That's usually something that is always read or, preached at a funeral, is Psalm 23. I've never read the Bible. I've never really been much of a Bible. I just couldn't get into reading it. I know it's a book of stories and such, and there's a lot of great scriptures in here too. I don't know. It's just maybe it's, with the way my mind is mentally, I can't focus on reading a whole lot. I would have to really, really sit there and actually understand what I'm reading. I think that's why I never really read the Bible. I'm like, I don't see it as like being boring or anything. I just never gave it a chance. And I've been to church a handful of times, just be there for like, family and such, my fiance, church with my ex. All right, what is going on here? Are we still live? Okay, we're still live. I don't know what happened with my browser. It just ended up taking a shit on me, I guess. But yeah, still live on Kick and all. But yeah, I guess that will lead into the main topic of today. But before I get to it, guys, I'm going to see. She was my aunt. She was the aunt on my maternal pap. She's the one who passed before I was born. Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I know there was a couple relatives of mine that I never got to meet when I was born. My dad always talked about my great-grandfather. He was like, yeah, he was a mean son of a bitch. You'd be glad you didn't know him. Be glad you didn't know him. He was a mean son of a bitch coming up. Hell, he even said that he once beat up Mr. Frosty, the ice cream man back in the day. That's how he beat up Mr. Frosty. I forgot how the story went. Because I was sitting there like, who the fuck's Mr. Frosty? And he was like, oh, he was the ice cream man back then. I was like, I don't know. I didn't know too many ice cream men back then, And I was like, Mr. Frosty was kind of new to me, but apparently Mr. Frosty was something back in like the 40s, 50s, 60s, and I guess they're still going on to this day. I don't even really know. Yeah, apparently my great-great-grandfather used to beat up fucking Mr. Frosty. I think it was in front of the neighborhood kids too. I can't remember the story. But yeah, so before I get to the next topic, which is yesterday's news of the new Pope, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, guys, so hang tight. Stay tuned in. We'll be back in a minute.
It's the way we make you feel that makes people fly British Airways. The world's favorite airline.
Crank up the volume. Introducing Guitar Rock, the awesome rock collection that really kicks. Get Guitar Rock on cassette or compact disc for just $9.99.
I can't get enough of your love. Slow ride. Take it easy.
Then you can preview other Guitar Rock volumes at no risk. Satisfaction guaranteed. Just call this number and get rockin'.
To order Guitar Rock, call 1-800-477-6300 or send $9.99 for one cassette or one compact disc plus $3.50 shipping and handling to Guitar Rock, Department 1, Richmond, Virginia 23280.
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
America's made Dumb and Dumber the #1 movie.
Who are these sick people?
Easily the funniest movie of the year.
Yeah!
Dumb and Dumber made me laugh so loudly I embarrassed myself.
Realize what you've done?
Be prepared to laugh yourself silly. Obnoxiously triumphant.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Huh?
Finally, a movie that lives up to its name. Dumb and Dumber.
Check, please.
Rated PG-13. Now playing.
We all know how much fun playing the guitar can be, but until now, learning meant months of tedious lessons costing hundreds of dollars and getting limited results. Well, no more. Now you can learn to play any guitar in only 30 days. In fact, you'll actually be playing from the very first day, even if you've never held a guitar before. How's it possible? With the revolutionary Guitar Today video program. Rock, country, folk, pop, or jazz, you'll be playing guitar from the very first day.
This moment of Yuletide joy is brought to you by Comedy Central. This moment of Yuletide joy is brought to you by Comedy Central.
Alrighty, guys, and we're back. Something apparently is going on my end with the browser. I have no idea what's going on. Maybe I got too many pages up or something. Something's eating my resources here. Anyway, I'm back. Looks like Restream website is taking a shit on me. Holy hell, what the hell's going on? I need Restream because I have a... There we go. I'll just close out that site and reload it there. I just hope it doesn't kill the stream off, though. Something's trying to. Alright, there we go. All I had to do was refresh. There we go. Alrighty, so I'm back, guys. Had to give myself something to drink. After talking for so long, you know, it definitely starts to take a toll on your throat. I don't drink sodas a whole lot anymore. I still drink sodas, but not like I used to. I'm drinking water, or I get these flavor packets from Walmart to put in there. They have no sugar in them, but they are still good. So I'll get the Skittles and the wild berry Skittle ones. Put in water. It's like drinking juice. You know, you ain't got no sugar in it. You know, it's just a powder mixture. You put it in water. You're still drinking the juice without no sugar, and let me tell you, it is fucking good. So yesterday, now, I'm going to say that too, loosely. So yesterday, like I said, we had the funeral service for my dad's Aunt Celia. You know, we went to the funeral home for the viewing, met up with, you know, family members there and such, and then I'm surprised we didn't go to a church for anything. You know, usually, you know, we would go to a church for services, and then they would wheel them out to the cemetery or whatever. But I guess the cemetery where she was buried at, there wasn't a church there. So there was really no church service. We went from the funeral home out to the cemetery, which was 10 minutes away. We all parked. The pallbearers carried the casket to the plot, and we all met up there for the priest to say some words. And then we all gathered down across from Charlestown Racetrack. Yeah, in West Virginia, Charlestown Racetrack, Hollywood Casino. There's a little diner out there called the Charlestown Family Diner. Nice little diner, though. And it was a nice little diner. And we all gathered in there. And we were there for maybe about an hour or so. You know, we ordered, we eat, we talked amongst ourselves. I was talking to some family members who I know who they were. I just never really talked to them that much, and you know, throughout. But I'm glad I did talk to them. You know, have fun. And so while I'm sitting there, I pull my phone out at one point, and I look, and I see in the Discord that Jeff was mentioning something about the new Pope was elected. And I'm like, really? But they didn't know who it was. But I mean, he heard about who it was, but not really. So I looked it up. And sure as shit, they elected a new pope yesterday. And one of my relatives that's sitting across from me, and I'm telling her about it, it's like, oh yeah, who is it? Because she was wanting to know who they were going to pick. It's something that she deeply was caring and concerned for, was who was going to be the new pope. And it's Robert Prevost, the first American pope. And then takes the name Leo the 14th. This guy was picked out of Chicago. And she was like, I don't know about that. I'm just very concerned about that. Like, why would they do that? I was like, yeah, because they never pick anybody from America to be a pope. I've never in my life ever heard of that. And she's like, yeah, they never have. It's usually somebody from another foreign country or whatever, you know. But, yeah. The first American Pope was elected yesterday, Robert Prevost. And we're sitting there reading it. Now, before I read into it, like I said, going back over into Discord here. If it'll load up, if my browser don't shit on me again. Under TuneIn Live Scraps, I'm going to put the article in there. Now, mind you, yes, it's from CNN. That's the first article that I found. That is the first article I've seen, and a lot of these fucking articles, you know, a lot of them are gonna be fucking liberal based, but fuck it, I'll just give you guys a gist of who it is and what's it about. So the newly elected pontiff, now known as Pope Leo the 14th, is the first pope from the United States and the new leader of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. The 69-year-old from Chicago stepped into his role as the 267th Pope on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. I don't even know how to pronounce some of these words. It's new to me. On Thursday evening, addressing thousands of cheering Catholics with the words, "Peace be with you all." As he addressed the crowds in St. Peter's Square, I don't know why I say Pete Springers, Leo paid tribute to the late Pontiff Francis, urging them to remember the late Pope's legacy of unity before outlining his own vision of the Catholic Church. We have to seek together to be a missionary church, a church that builds bridges and dialogues, he said. Speaking in Italian, Leo called on the people to show our charity to others and be in dialogue with love. Leo was chosen just 2 days after a group of 133 cardinals gathered in conclave to select the new pontiff, suggesting that he quickly impressed his peers during the secretive process. He is expected to build on Francis's reforms. His predecessors Francis and Benedict, I guess that's the 16th, were both revealed in the evening of the conclave's second day, while John Paul II, the longest reigning pope in modern times, was selected on the third day in 1978. The coming days are for celebration. Leo's name will be uttered in homilies. I guess that's the name. Yeah, homilies and masses across the Roman Catholic world, and will spark particularly joyous scenes in the home country, where one of 5 adults identify as Catholics. But leading the largest Christian denomination through an unpredictable era will require difficult and consequential decisions. The new pope inherits the church whose image and ambitions were transformed by its predecessor Francis pulled the priorities of the church away from social issues such as abortion, homosexuality, gender roles, and contraception, advocating instead of the world's poor, displaced, and needy, and instilling a mission anchored in altruism? I guess that's the word, I don't know. And he must deal with the crisis from within too. Francis's failure to bring a close to the years-long scandal of child sex abuse in the church, despite some important steps, will also reverberate through the successor's papacy. And that's what I was talking about earlier, you know, like the Catholic churches and shit, they have some priests and stuff that'll, you know, have sex with the altar boy, that kind of thing. You personally give zero fucks, but yeah, I've been hearing about it. Yeah, a lot of people don't care too much for the for the Pope and all. I don't care too much for them. I mean, I don't know much about their position and all, but it's like you hear stories about, you know, some Catholic priest or some Christian priest that are out there, you know, having sex with kids in churches and shit like that. How to continue the trajectory will be defining choice of the new pontiff, who, in the first moments of the new pope, signaled respect from Francis's legacy, but perhaps also a desire to set his papacy apart, and a reversion to norms. He wore traditional papal robes, whereas Francis stepped out onto the balcony in simple white cassock. Yeah, cassock. Is that a cassock? Some of these fucking words, man. Some of these phrases. Apparently, this guy was an exceptional leader, considering a highly capable, accomplished leader. Provost most recently headed the powerful Vatican office for new bishop appointments. I don't even know what the fuck that's called. He was appointed Francis appointed provost to the position, indicating he saw the U.S. cleric as an effective leader. From what I understand, from what somebody told me, I guess Francis knew of good things about him, or had good things to say about this guy. That's why he picked him, or that's why you say, yeah, this guy I really like, or something like that. I forgot what it was. So yeah, there was a specific reason why this guy was chosen to be the new pope. He also made him president of the Pontifical Commission for Latin America, where Provost had spent most of his earlier career as a missionary. The new pontiff is a member of the Augustinian religious order and spent more than a decade as a prior general, giving his experience of heading an order spread across the world. I'm not going to read all of this. There's a whole lot to cover. Actually, I'll cover this one a little bit here. I just skimmed through and it caught my eye. So, upcoming challenges for him. Adding the festivities and the new Pope's diary commitments is, in fact, that 2025 is the Jubilee year for the Church, a special celebration announced by Pope John Paul II 25 years ago, which sees a busy schedule for Vatican-organized events. But the world is also watching to see whether he will follow in the Franciscan path. Francis' rejection of opulence and his softer tone on the social issues was praised by some Western leaders, but there remains a faction of the church advocating for a stricter line on the questions of sex, gender, marriage, and migration. Asked about the contributions of 3 women who were made members of the Dysentery for bishops, Provost told Vatican News, "I think their appointment is more than just a gesture on the part of the Pope to say that there are now women here too. There is a real, genuine, and meaningful participation that they offer to the meetings when we discuss the dossiers of candidates." So if you want to read up more on this article, there's a lot more of it to go through. If you guys want to read up more on it, like I said, follow on the Discord. And the article is in there about him. There is something I did come across. There's something I came across on Twitter, actually, which I don't know how true it is. I don't. I think it's just This page being some fucking idiots. Where is it at? IGN. IGN gaming site and all, even though they're ran by a bunch of fucking retards. But there was something that I thought I shared, but I did see it on here this morning about the new Pope. There it is. Let me look this article up here. Okay, this is from IGN. IGN, they've gone full retard at a lot of different aspects, I do gotta say. But yeah, I pulled this article up, and it goes by, okay, if you ever wondered what a prosthetic pope does to pass the time, wonder no more. According to a close family member, the recently elected Pope Leo XIV is just like us, playing games and watching movies in his downtime. No, this is not The Onion I'm reading from. This is IGN. I can't take this seriously, but apparently it's true. As we reported earlier this week, Edward Berger's sensational papal thriller Conclave took moviegoers by a storm last year, prompting some real-life religious leaders, including those who have participated in this week's actual conclave, to select a new pope. Talking to NBC, the Pope's older brother, John Provost, shared details of the last conversation with his brother before he was appointed. And amongst talking to Wordle and Words with friends, it's true, Pope Leo XIV is a gamer. The brothers play the word games together every single day. Oh, for fuck's sake! How you gonna sit there and play? Oh my god! Yeah, okay, IGN, okay. They play word games like fucking Scrabble and shit. Holy fuck! He's a gamer. Well, he plays board games. The older brother asked if the sibling had watched the movie Conclave for tips. He had just finished watching the movie Conclave, so he knew how to behave. So it's that kind of stuff. I wanted to take his mind off of the upcoming Conclave, laughing about something. So I never heard of this movie Conclave. Let me look it up, though. I never heard of Conclave. Didn't even know there was a movie based on it. Let's see, Conclave. Oh, it came out last year. Who'd have thought? Conclave is a political thriller. Is it based on true things? Let's see, religious response, critical responses. I don't want to read too much up on it. Should I even fucking really watch this movie, though? Should I really watch it? It's got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. It stars Ralph Fiennes. Or Ralph Fiennes, however I want to put it. It's a political thriller based on a 2016 novel. So are you telling me that our newly elected American Pope watched a movie from last year to get a sense on what it's like to be a fucking Pope? Yeah. Those are not real games, Jesus Christ. They're games, they're board games, but when you talk about gamer, usually the term gamer would reflect to video games. Like, oh, does he play Xbox? Is he a PC man? Is he a PlayStation? Does he have a Nintendo Switch? No, he plays games like Scrabble. I'm like, you gave my hopes up, you bastard. Like, oh cool, the Pope plays video games, but looking at him, looking at a picture of the guy, I'm like, that is not a gamer. I definitely can see him doing stuff like playing Trivial Pursuits or Scrabble in his time, so I'm like, yeah, there you go, he's a board gamer. He plays board games. He probably plays solitaire too. He doesn't look like the kind of person who could pick a controller up and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna get you, you little fucking queer bitch on Call of Duty or some shit, you know. But my biggest thing is when his brother said, oh, the week before or the night before that he took the oath or was elected, he watched the movie Conclave to ease his mind because he was very nervous about the position. We watched the movie Conclave. Yeah, it's a political thriller based off a fucking novel from 2016. What's it about? In the film, Cardinal Thomas Lawrence, played by Ralph Fiennes, organizes a conclave to elect the new pope and find himself investigating secrets and scandals about the major candidates. That would be like if I watched the movie Independence Day before I was elected president of the United States. I shit you not. If I sat there and be like, cool, does that mean when aliens invade the country or invade the world, I could take over as the big leader and be like, let's go get them. Let's use their technology to go get them and take down the mothership and shit, you know? That's almost what it seems like. So yeah, we got a new pope. It's laughable, like reading up on it. That's just plain laughable to me. That this guy watched a fucking movie. Watched a fucking movie before he was elected. Oh, Jesus Christ. In other news, so let's look at this. Another thing that happened yesterday, and this is, yeah, what I meant, board games are not real games. I mean, they are games, you know, depending on what your prediction is, you know. Like card games are card games, like Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, that kind of thing, you know. Like there's different, I'll just say there's genres. There's different genres to gaming. You have video games that people play, PC, console, handheld, whatever. You got board games that people play. Kids, there's some kids out there that still play board games like Life, Monopoly, Connect 4, stuff like that. Then you got card games, which is like, you know, you got a deck of cards you play solitaire with, you play poker, stuff like that. Or then you got those collectible card games like Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and such. So, I mean, I do all three. But then when I see them talking about, hey, the Pope is a gamer, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, the Pope plays Xbox. What's his gamer tag? Let's get in there and play Halo or something. No, he's just somebody who sits there and plays word games. I'm like, okay. So, in other news, Associated Press, yeah, that's liberal news, but I'm going to post this link in there anyway under Tune In Live Scraps for the next, for our next topic here, guys. Now, yesterday, we all heard that, yeah, the new Pope was elected. But then after that, I read that, hey, the House passed a bill, 211 to 206. The Gulf of Mexico is now called the Gulf of America. If any of y'all thought that Trump was joking when he first stated that, it is now a reality, people. My man Trump and the House, the Republican-led House, passed a bill Thursday that would rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America and direct federal agencies to update their documents and maps to incorporate the new name. President Donald Trump already signed an executive order during his first day in office to rename the Gulf. House Republicans are looking to show their support, though it was unclear whether the Senate will go along. The bill passed by a vote of 211 to 206. The body of water has shared borders with the United States and Mexico. Trump's order only carries authority within the U.S. Mexico, or carries within the U.S. Mexico, as well as other countries and international bodies, do not have to recognize the name of change. Democrats said the vote demonstrated that Republicans are not focusing on the priorities of most Americans. Well, gee, he probably hates video games. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, Pope probably hates video games. Well, gee, here we are. The very what the fuck's the word for it? God, I can't even think of the fucking word for it. But here we are. The Democrats have the nerve to sit there and say, Republicans are not focusing on the priorities of most Americans. Well, gee, neither the fuck were you, motherfuckers. For 4 fucking years, the Democrats didn't give 2 shits about the fucking priorities of Americans. And instead, they focused on, oh, let's give money to the Ukraine. Let's focus on transgenderism and people that can paint their hair purple and blue and pink and all this shit. And let's focus on pronouns. Let's focus on furthering gay rights, even though gay people knew that they had rights and shit. They knew what their rights were and all. But goddamn, fuck them. How are they going to sit there and say that we need to focus on the priorities of most Americans? Well, for 4 years, your all priority was for fucking Ukraine. You all didn't give 2 shits about America. New York representative or Republican, I don't know, Hakeem Jeffries, the House's top Democrat. Okay, he's a Democrat. Fuck him. Asked Democrats to vote against this silly, small-minded, and I don't know what the fuck that word is, piece of legislation. It's easy to mock the legislation because it's so inane and embarrassing. And we have, said Representative Mary Gay Scallon. But in its very existence and the fact that the House Republicans have chosen to waste the time and taxpayer money to bring it up for a vote is worth consider. You know, that is a phrase that is being thrown around here quite too often. The fact that these retarded Democrats keep talking about how Trump is wasting our taxpayer money for this and that, just like they say, oh, Trump's going golfing again. There's a waste of our money. He's a fucking millionaire. He ain't gonna use our fucking money to go fucking golfing. He's not using our money to fucking go out there and shoot 18 holes. That's how retarded these motherfuckers are. But they never dare said that about Biden going to the beach and doing it, or Obama going to the beach and going golfing. That's because it's Democrats. If you're a Republican doing that, oh, you're wasting taxpayer money. What are we paying for? Y'all fucking brain dead. Y'all fucking make autism look like the fucking king of all mental disabilities. Like that kid who was shot down. Shit, that kid had more common sense than a fucking Democrat does. Hell, he was probably trying to defend his house from Democrats. For all I know. Republicans said that the nomenclature of the Gulf extended back to the time before the U.S. existed, and the Spanish influenced over when the Spanish influence over Central America and the Caribbean was at its zenith. But now it is the U.S. that dominates economic activity in the Gulf. In short, this legislation recognizes the strategic influence America has over the geography, not to mention the existence of you could definitely tell this is very Democratic ran. This is very Democratic ran. Associated Press, y'all go fuck yourselves. You should be ashamed of fucking reporting news. Yeah, I think he is a Senate minority leader now. Yeah. The Republicans got both the House and the Senate. We won both of them in the election. We did. But yeah, even Trump said at one point, he said it should be called the Gulf of America because, we are the Americas. North America connecting to South America. You got Central America. Mexico is considered North American territory. It's not about United States of America. We're fucking continents. North and South America. That's basically what he was getting by when he first announced that shit, But they're like, oh God, now America can take control of Cuba and Honduras and all of them. Well, shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. There are more important things to fucking focus on, Democrats, than the fact that the fucking name of the fucking of a body of water was just renamed. If you still want to call it the Gulf of Mexico, by all means, you're all fucking brain dead anyway. Go ahead and call it the Gulf of Mexico. People are going to call it the Gulf of America. You know what I'm going to call it? The Gulf. That's it. The Gulf. It's a big body of water that is surrounded by North America and Central America and maybe parts of fucking South America. Okay, it's the Gulf. You got Democrats that are fucking crying and bitching and complaining that Trump renamed the goddamn Gulf. House minority. Okay. Yeah. Bitching, complaining over him doing certain things. Then I go back to that one night where Trump did that speech. You know, the night I was talking about it on one of the last streams, where he nominated the 13-year-old boy who beat cancer, nominated him to Secret Service. Remember that? How not one fucking Democrat in that room stood or applauded for anything positive. They didn't stand or applaud for the fact that Trump did something in the names of Lincoln Riley or any other victims to rape and murder from these illegals. They didn't stand and applaud for this 13-year-old boy who was nominated and selected to be a member of the Secret Service. The boy beat cancer. The boy's African American. Democrats hated everything that night. Not one fucking Democrat showed any kind of positivity to anything that Trump said or did. That's how sick that fucking party is. Democrats used to be good 20, 30, 40 years ago, but now it's just a fucking laughing stock. Democrats today are a fucking joke. They really are. They want to see death to America. They don't want people to prosper. They want people to fucking suffer. They want to control you. They don't have that control for the next 4 years. That's what they're pissed about. They're not going to be able to rob you. Well, some state by state are. Look at fucking Maryland, Wes Moore. That motherfucker should have been more focused on building or rebuilding the Francis Scott Key Bridge that was taken out last year. He's more focused on wind turbines and energy efficiency and this and that, spending all our fucking money. You know where our fucking money went? Right into his goddamn pocket. Wes Moore, right into his fucking pocket. He took our goddamn money. He ain't focused on building that fucking bridge. He ain't focused on, you know, helping people commute better in the Baltimore region. He don't give two fucks about that. It's been over a year, people. They were talking about getting this fucking funding from Biden when he was in office. Biden never gave us a goddamn funding. Democrats don't give two fucks about our livelihoods. They don't. That's why the next election for Maryland, everybody's voting Wes Moore out. And I keep saying, this is what you get when you vote Democrat. They don't give two fucks. They're making money off of you. They can sit there and fucking laugh at you until they're fucking blue in the face. They don't give two fucks about anybody. And then speaking of which, need I bring this up to you guys? Oh. Recently, old dead brain Biden made the news again. Yeah. This sorry sack of shit is back in the news, making appearances, breathing the air that I fucking breathe. Yeah, it's in both America now. Deal with it, bitches. Yeah, exactly. Preach it, Hoyt. Yeah, Biden's back in the news again. I'm sharing this article over there in the TuneIn Live Scraps. He's back to breathing that hot air. Sounds like Bill Clinton was the last decent Yeah. I think even Jeff would say that. Even though he was the guy that got blowjobs in the Oval Office, he was the last decent Democrat we had. Now, even though the Clintons have power like the Obamas do, they can make people disappear. I mean, they made Epstein disappear. Shit. Hillary Clinton, she didn't care too much about the soldiers in Benghazi. 13 lied. Or 13 died. I know that was Biden's pulled off. That's right. But yeah, those people in Benghazi, they all fucking died that night. Hillary Clinton's the Secretary of Defense. She didn't give two shits about them people. That shows you how well it comes to Hillary Clinton. Let's see, settings for Twitch. Well, I guess people on Twitch are having an issue right now watching. I don't fucking know. That's Restream for you. So yeah, Biden's back in the news again. He was recently on The View too. They had this piece of shit on The View with all those skanks. Whoopi Goldberg and all them. All those skanks. They had fucking Joe Biden up there breathing that fucking hot air like he always does. So what's this fucker's issue now? Biden admits he wasn't surprised that Trump won the election over Harris. Motherfucker! Everybody knew Trump was going to win. The 4 years that we suffered. Now, before I go into this article, I put a comment on this article on Facebook. It's under the local news, WBFF Fox 45. I put a comment on there, and it's going to stay on there. I wrote, no, he wasn't. Because of him and her, and I'm talking about Harris, they knew they were going to lose. Everyone did. For 4 fucking years, this country suffered because of him. For 4 years, we were all made weak to our allies and enemies. For 4 years, our enemies started new wars with other countries and nations. For 4 years, we had to put up with the severe mentally ill wanting to change their sexes and be labeled as inanimate objects. For 4 years, we were all told to shut up or suffer the consequences. We were called liars, conspiracy theorists, lost our jobs, been attacked on and off social media, more school shootings. Our Constitution was used to wipe the Democrats' ass. And yet this walking brain-dead corpse has the gall to tell people on TV, I was surprised Trump won 2024. Why is this sack of dog shit still walking amongst us, breathing our air? That was what I posted in the comments section. Yeah, God, all those whores, all they need is to retire. They all need to be retired, fired, jailed for life. That's what they need. I used to like Whoopi Goldberg. I was actually talking to somebody recently. I done forgot who the hell it was. We were talking about it, and we were like, yeah, we used to like Whoopi Goldberg back in the day. She had some good movies, man. She had some good movies. Now she's just breathing hot fucking Democratic air, and I'm just like, fuck her and fuck her Hollywood movies. You know, I can't even watch the movie Ghost, man. I'd watch it for Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze. I can't watch it now because that skanks in the motherfucking movie. I boycotted her the same way I boycotted Robert De Niro. Fuck that piece of shit too, man. So many great movies with those idiots in them, and I just don't want to watch them, you know? Former president. No, I wouldn't even call him president. We should say former tyrant Joe Biden on Thursday joined The View, where he admitted he was unsurprised by the results of the 2024 election. Biden exited the election in favor of allowing former vice tyrant Kamala Harris to receive the Democratic nomination. She lost decisively to President Donald Trump, who took the popular vote and electoral vote, including all 7 swing states. Yeah, he took the votes. The popular electoral. You know why? Everybody was done with Democrats. Everybody was fucking done. They were all feeding us lies and bullshit from 2016 to 2020 about Donald Trump. And people elected Biden in there. Day one. Everything that Trump warned us about, everything fucking happened. It all happened. He told us. We didn't need the Simpsons to make a prediction. No. Trump fucking told us. We saw it day one. And for 4 years, We have fucking suffered for 4 years. Inflation, people. Inflation. It wasn't Trump doing it. They blamed Trump for everything that Biden did. Yeah, South Park even mocked her in season 3. Oh, yeah, Whoopi Goldberg. I remember that, yeah. The Biden administration blamed Trump well after he was out of office for everything. Trump left him a flourishing economy and shit. Biden wiped his ass on it and flushed it down the proverbial toilet. And still had the nerve to say that Trump was at fault. There was even some Democrats out there that were like, wait a minute, Trump's not running. You're running. How is it Trump's fault? Oh, it just is. It just is. Inflation goes up. Food prices go up and shit. Trump's fault. Trump's fault. All of this happened a year after Trump left. And they wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to come back, right? So they staged January 6th. They staged January 6th. I'm saying it right here. All is fake news with what they claimed happened. No, the Democrats staged it. They needed a scapegoat to lay on Trump to make sure that he stayed out of politics. They needed something to make themselves look like fucking victims and say, now you all will bow down to Democrats. We were all victims of this. We could have died because of the MAGA crew. Yeah, they were all hired hands by the Democrats. That's exactly what the fuck it was. They wanted us to believe for 4 fucking years that the Republicans and the MAGA supporters were all at fault. We're all criminals. Well, now the tables have fucking turned. Trump is president again. He beat every one of those 70-some counts in court. He beat them all. There was never going to be any fucking jail time for Trump. All these media outlets wanted it. They fed it to you. They said Trump's going to be in jail. Can a president, if he's elected, can a president do things from jail? Yeah, he can. It is possible. It's been tried before, I think over 100 years ago or whatever. But yeah, it can be done. It can be. But they tried everything they could to smear this man's legacy, to smear his name all over the media. And you know what? Trump still won. He is our 47th president. Because for 4 years, we've dealt with all this bullshit from the Democrats. We've had enough. The people spoke. Even the electoral colleges. They saw. Everybody saw. Every country surrounding us and overseas saw how bad Biden was doing. That's why Putin took that chance and said, well, let's go reclaim Ukraine. The Americans are not going to fucking... They're not going to stop us. They're all pussies now. Look who they got. So they bomb Ukraine. What's Ukraine doing? Please, Biden, we need funding. We need weaponry. We need this. I'll suck your dick for $1 billion. We need okay. We'll go some chocolate chip ice cream, and I'll trip going up the stairs to fly it over to you personally. Under Trump, his first term, where were all the terrorists at? Where were all the wars at? Gone. We didn't have a single war under Trump. The Democrats hated that shit. Oh, they fucking hated it. All these retards attending college, they're force-fed false fucking shit. They'll tell you, oh, we did have war under Trump. Okay, what war? We just had war under Trump. What's war? Answer the fucking question. Oh, I did answer your question. We had war. The mentality of liberals. We suffered 4 fucking years under Biden. But now we all rose like a phoenix from the ashes. That's what Trump did. I'm damn glad I voted for Trump. When I went into that school to vote, I so wanted to tell people I voted for Trump. I so wanted to. I wanted to be that one, you know, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay on the high road. Because it's going to come out that Trump's going to win. I was very positive about it. I had high hopes. I knew it was going to happen. And sure as shit, watching those numbers that night, he stayed ahead in the race. Harris tried catching up, but he was in the race. He was well ahead, and he fucking won by a landslide, which is what he should have had in 2020 if they didn't cheat their fucking way in there. But anyway, where did I fucking leave at? Okay. Yeah. I was surprised. Not because I didn't think the vice president wasn't the most qualified person to be president. Well, ain't that the goddamn truth? Look at the way she presented herself. She was not qualified for any goddamn thing. Not even a fucking window attendant at a McDonald's. Yeah, so they used COVID and George Floyd to win. That's exactly what they did. They were so all about getting those fucking vaccines out and telling people they were going to die if they didn't get the vaccine. They couldn't go out anywhere shopping or whatever. They couldn't work unless they had the vaccine. And then George Floyd happened, and you got the heavy Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, police are bad, Black Lives Matter. That's all they fucking ran with. All that fucking horse shit. Disgusting. And this motherfucker will sit there and say, I didn't think, not because I didn't think she was most qualified. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States. No, the fuck she wasn't. She was nowhere near qualified. We all saw the fucking videos. We all know the history of Kamala Harris. We all know. She's not fucking, she is not fit to even sit out on the side of the road holding a sign advertising for a business. She's not fit for anything. Biden had it. I wasn't surprised because they went the sexist route. Yes, he went that way. This racist, pedophilic, child-sniffing piece of dog shit went that route and said they went the sexist route. The whole, I mean, this is a woman. She's this, she's that. And then Biden added, summarizing the Trump campaign approach. I've never seen quite a successful and consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman could lead the country and a woman was of mixed race. The bullshit that is being fed to this motherfucker. He must still have that little earpiece in there being told what to say, you know? He always have been. But you're gonna say some dumb fucking shit like that? Saying that it was very sexist that they chose Trump over Harris. Funny how they never blamed it on him, even though they were the ones fanning the flames. They were the whole time. But ain't it funny that this piece of dog shit said that this whole election was sexist, but nobody said that in 2016 when Trump won over Hillary Clinton. No one ever said that it was sexist because Hillary was a woman. Well, everybody knew about how crooked and scandalous Hillary Clinton was. The Benghazi shit, everything else. Yeah, we even had the Hillary Clinton emails that came out. Remember that? The Clinton emails and shit? How fucking scandalous that whole thing is? How crooked the Clintons are? Yeah. Everybody would have taken that. It was a fucking joke when she ran. It was a fucking joke. We all knew she was not going to win that shit. She even cried about it too. She cried about losing that motherfucker. We got Trump, and you know what? For 4 years, we've had the best 4 years in this country and ever. So many fucking decades. It was even statistic. This was the best 4 fucking years. The best president since, what, somebody from the 70s or the 80s or whatever it was? Like, what would 2016 to 2020 been like if we didn't get Donald Trump, you know? He beat Clinton, fair and square. And then they were all like, the Republicans cheated. They cheated. It's a scam. They cheated. No, he won fair and square. Because the people know how bad Clinton was. We knew it was going to be a terrible 4 years with Clinton. And then everybody tried to say that Trump's first term was horrendous. It was the best this country has ever had. We had no inflation. We had no new wars. Democrats making all that fucking shit up and putting blame on him. And you know what? They did the most dumbest fucking thing that anybody could do in 2020. They stole the election. Now they try to sit there and say, "Oh, you maggots! You said the election was stolen. It wasn't stolen. It was fair." We had COVID. Everybody had to vote by mail. What happened to all those paper ballots that were mailed in? Oh, they got lost. They got lost. I bet they were opened up. Oh, this person's for Trump. Nope, trash it. Because they even said in the aftermath, after Biden won, they said people were finding these mail-in ballots that were all for Trump, found them in fucking landfills and shit. Yeah. So, yeah, the Democrats did steal the election. They did rig it. And all they needed was a pandemic to do it with. The best idea that they had to steal the election, to take control of everything. Let's create a man-made virus over in China and release it upon the world, which is what they did. It came out. That's what they did. I forgot who it was. I did an episode on it, remember? They came out and admitted that COVID was man-made in a fucking lab and purposely released. That was their ace in the hole. So everybody could be controlled, stay indoors, don't go to your jobs. You can still vote. Yeah, you can still vote. We'll send you mail-in ballots. That was the most genius way that they stole the election. Then they try to do it again this past year. You know what? The American people said, you know what? Go fuck yourselves. Y'all did this shit before. I'm not down with this song and dance again. It ain't gonna happen. Now, anytime you look on the news and you say, oh, there's another virus that's running amongst us, it's going to kill everybody. Who the fuck cares? We know it's fake news. We know it's not going to fucking do anything. We know it doesn't exist. And you know what? Anytime people say, yeah, right, doesn't exist, you know what happens? It disappears like a fart in the wind. It's like, oh, you remember that one bacterial virus they said last week that said it was sweeping the nation and people were getting sick? Yeah? What happened to that? Disappeared. People called them out. They said, we're not buying it anymore. We're done. So they take that out of the news feed. Let's see. Her husband was a decent president. He eventually lost his credibility. Yeah, because of Monica Lewinsky. Yeah, now the same retards are calling it 20. Yeah, they're calling it again. Yep. Hey, what's going on, Kevin? Long time no see, brother. What's going on there, buddy? Nothing much, man. But yeah. They said it was rigged. Yeah, it was rigged, all right. It was rigged. Uh-huh. Not only did Trump win, we got the House, we got the Senate, we got the electoral votes, we got the popular vote. But yeah, it was rigged. Yeah, okay. The whole election was rigged. Everybody knew the last 4 fucking years is a dent in American history to show how big of a turn we went from going Democrat, who turned us into a piece of shit, who pretty much threw our respect, our loyalty out the window, who turned us into a great threat, who turned us into a big embarrassment to the entire fucking world? Yeah. Biden did all this fucking shit in 4 years. We, the people, or as Hubbard used to say, we as Americans do have our rights to sit there and stuff. You know? But yeah, we the people. We elected Trump again. We did. The electorals, the popular. He's the first person in so fucking long to win both. The popular and the electorals. How is that rigged? It ain't rigged. That's the American people speaking. We spoke and stuff. It's done, Democrats. It's over with. Y'all fucking lost. Y'all have 4 years to show us, okay, y'all say Trump did terrible in the first 4 years. Let's see what y'all can do, huh? Still waiting. You got a fucking zombie corpse in office that can't fucking speak a whole goddamn sentence without being force-fed it. We're still waiting. Y'all didn't show us for 4 years. Fuck it. After the first year or two, people were all preaching, bring back Trump, bring back Trump. We need Donald Trump. And you know what? He heard the call. Trump is like fucking Batman. Trump is Batman. He heard the fucking call. He saw what was going on with the country. You know what? Trump went in, ran, and then what happens? The Democrats place all these goddamn charges on him, saying that everything is fraudulent, everything is crooked, everything he did was wrong. He beats every goddamn charge. He is elected 47th president of the United States. And all these Democrats, they were all laughing all the way to the bank, and then they fucking cried. They cried the night of the election when it was Donald Trump, 47. Wow. They all fucking cried. And I laughed. And I laughed. It's just amazing how these new age Democrats, they think they run the fucking party. And I laugh all the way to the bank for it. So let me try to read the rest of this article here. There's a video on it, but do I dare play this fucking poison on my show? Fuck it. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I have my PC muted. Maybe it was a vote of something saying don't play it. I just don't feel like reading it, man. I'll let these retards embarrass themselves on my show. Fuck it.
But then election night came, and it was like 2016 all over again. So why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman. She's this. She's that. I mean, it really. I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't. Successful. This stupid cunt cackled her way across the nation, changing her fucking I'm not gonna say her race, but changing her personality every goddamn where she went. Yeah, even almost got her head blown off. Yeah, Trump was. They attempted to assassinate Trump. You know how terrible the Democrat Party is when they're trying to take out their political opponent. They tried to kill Trump. You know, apparently Trump was a huge threat to the Democrat Party. They did everything they could to take him out. They tried to charge him with 76 different counts that were all bogus. They tried to shoot this fucking man 2 or 3 times. He is still in office. He's making executive decisions.
We're laughing at you retards out there. We're fucking laughing. Better than Kamala's cackle. But that just puts a dent in our history, in the history of this country. That shows the American people how desperate the Democrats are to defame somebody, to desecrate somebody's name for their 15 minutes of fame of, look what I could do, to shit on somebody. Murder, rape, rampage, chaos, everything that you could think of. If Harris got in, I probably wouldn't even be here, guys. This country would have been rampant with fucking criminals and shit. I'd be fighting for my family's life right now. This country would be completely different than what it is right now. Yes, I know people are still suffering from inflation. Trump did tell everybody, Vance did tell everybody, it's not going to go away day one. That's not how it works. We got to start cut fundings here. That's why Doge is doing what it can, and Elon Musk did an excellent job leading Doge into the pits to find out where all of our money went. It didn't all go to the Ukraine. It went to all these crooked foundations that were founded and funded by the Democrats. They cut their fundings. We just saved a shit ton of fucking money, people. Money that we've been fucking pouring out that shouldn't have been poured out. Democrats frivolously spending. That's why we got inflation. That's why this country is so far into debt. That's why Trump said it's going to take a year at least to get everything back down to what it was, get inflation back down to below the mark to what it was. Yeah, it's going to take a year. And you got all these retards on social media saying, oh, Trump did this. How is that going to make the cost of food go down? Y'all don't fucking pay attention. They don't pay attention at all. They don't understand how this shit works. We had no inflation when Trump reigned in office. When Biden got in, inflation shot through the fucking roof. Yeah, YouTube would have shut your shit down, I'm sure. Yeah. All of social media would have been completely censored. You wouldn't be able to say Biden sucks in a video without being shot down. That's sure as shit too. Let me finish this fucking shit show. It's another 2 minutes of this shit, man. Fuck it.
Lead the country, and a woman of mixed race. Yeah. And they played that to a fairly well. In addition to that, one of the things happened, if you notice, and I'm going to be shorter, okay? I promise. She said, "Don't be Joe Biden. Be short."
I said that to him.
Anyway, make a long story short, all kidding aside, think about it. Liberal democracies all across America, all across the world lost last time out. Yeah. All across America. I think we underestimate the phenomenal negative impact that COVID had and the pandemic had on people, on attitudes, on optimism, on a whole range of things. So I was very disappointed, but I wasn't surprised. The only thing that surprised me is the excess to which they've gone in some of the attacks they've made.
Yeah. Well, when was the last time you spoke with the vice president, and has she talked to you about what she wants to do next? Sought any advice? Maybe governor?
Yesterday, I talk to her frequently. We stay in touch, number one. Number two, she's sought my opinion. I'm not going to tell you what it is. She's making
what to wear to the Met Gala.
That's exactly right. No, but all kidding aside, she's got a difficult decision to make about what she's going to do. I hope she stays fully engaged. I think she's first rate. But we have a lot of really good candidates as well. So I'm optimistic. I'm not pessimistic about it.
Yeah, thank God that's fucking over with, man. She's very optimistic at what she's done. She's very optimistic. Yeah, he's still incoherent as ever. He is! You could tell he's got to be force fed something. He has to be, or he's on some kind of medication and just like, okay, just go on the air and say this. Go on the air and say this. Harris was a cackling, menacing piece of shit. She's going to try to ruin somebody else's life now by running for governor somewhere or whatever. You know what it's going to be? Even out in California, even though it's ran by a fucking retard, Gavin Newsom, there's still some California residents out there that are like, we need to get rid of this motherfucker now. Everybody saw the limelight for 4 years of what Democrats can do to destroy communities, to destroy cities, towns, destroy our way of life. We all know what Democrats can do. Would Harris be elected for anything? Fuck no! How about Gavin Newsom? Fuck no! Take a look in Canada. I'm not even going to cover too much on that, but that new person that they got in Canada right now, that they elected him because of their hatred for Trump. Because of the Canadians' hatred for Trump. Because Trump talked about, you know what? We can eliminate these tariffs if you guys are willing to become the 51st state of the Americas. You know, become the 51st state. You wouldn't have to worry about high tax rates. You wouldn't have to worry about this and that. You wouldn't have to worry about tariffs. You know, we can work together, bring if there's any kind of crime rate down or whatever. You know, Trump offered a golden egg on the table to the Canadians, and they turned it down. Okay, you turn it down, that's fine. But how many Canadians up there hate how things are ran by the Prime Minister up there? The Prime Minister of Canada is Democratic. A big Democrat piece of shit. And the guy that they elected, yeah, he said, no to Donald Trump. And we're going to put our own tariffs on your stuff too, and this and that. It amazes me that the Canadian the Canadian people barely had a voice, I guess, when it came to that shit. I think it was Alberta, Canada, who was still pretty much along with America. They're like, well, we don't want to be Canadian anymore. We don't want to do this anymore, you know? Yeah, which is likely never going to happen. And yeah, it was never going to happen anyway. It was a thought process that Trump wanted to put out there, you know, to eliminate tariffs. You know, he's putting tariffs on everything because, hey, we are America. We should have American-made products, American-grown food. We shouldn't have to rely on other countries to provide this and provide that for us. We have the fucking resources here in America. Under Biden, farms got fucking shut down and shit. Remember all those farm places that were going up in flames and stuff? How about the train from Ohio derailing and stuff? What about the fires out there in Hawaii? People saw the big blue laser come shooting down from the sky and shit, you know? All that stuff. All that stuff happened under Biden's reign. We have the land. We have the resources. We can make shit here in America. We can make it a hell of a lot better than what we get it from China, Vietnam, wherever. Then when they announced the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out, and Nintendo is originated in Japan, but we have Nintendo of America over here. It's like, okay, you want to make a Nintendo console, make one here in the country. You don't need parts from Japan. But you know what? It amazes me that all these companies are now using the tariffs as an excuse to keep prices high on now video game consoles. Let's switch over to that for a little bit. They just announced a couple weeks ago that at the end of the year, all Xbox products, consoles, accessories, maybe even some titles, you know, video games, depending on the publisher, prices are going to go up because of the tariffs. Nobody understands how tariffs work. I don't even know if I want to look it up because the internet is full of fucking liberal bullshit. Let's see, USA Facts. What are tariffs and how do they work? Let's cover that just for a little bit, okay? I'm going to skim through it. I'm not going to read the whole entire thing, but as I always say, if you guys want to read up more on it, get a little bit more insight on it, let me switch over to Discord real quick. Hop in the Discord server, go to Tuned In Live Scraps. The article for it is right now over there. So let's read up on this a little bit. Why do countries use tariffs? Well, what are tariffs? Tariffs sometimes are called duties or custom duties. They are taxes on goods that are traded between nations. When goods come across the U.S. border, Customs and Border Protection collect tariffs based on the types of goods, their quality, or, well, not quality, their quantity, and which country they're coming from. Why do countries do tariffs? Now, mind you, the Democrats and the paid media will feed you any bullshit when it comes to tariffs. They try to scare the public into saying, well, the cost of food's going to go right back up. The cost of this is going to go up because Trump implemented tariffs. He implemented tariffs on everybody. It's terrifying. It's going to rape your wallet. But they don't understand what a fucking tariff is. We've had tariffs for decades. Let me look it up. How long have tariffs existed? Tariffs have been a part of the U.S. economic policy since the country's founding, with the first significant tariff law, the Tariff Act of 1789. Over 200 years we've had the Tariff Act. And people think that tariffs are a brand new thing because Trump said they were. Tariffs were the greatest, approaching 95% at times. Tariffs were the greatest source of federal revenue until the federal income tax began after 1913. Yeah. Why do you think Trump has tariffs on things greatly now? Yeah, we've been getting products from places like China for too long. You think we have learned after 2020? Yeah, especially with the COVID, right? So I'm sure Hoyt and everybody else who's listening, watching after this is going live, I'm sure everybody's heard about how Trump was putting out there he wants to eliminate income tax. He wants to eliminate the fact that anybody who is working a job, eliminate the fact that they got to pay income tax on their wages, including overtime and such. Trump's put that notion out there. He even recently pushed a little bit more, saying that anybody in a household, anybody who has a job that is making under $150,000 a year will not pay income taxes, will not have taxes on tips, will not have taxes on wages, overtime, anything. And that is fucking good. That's a good notion. Because let me tell you something. Me working 40 hours a week, what are my fucking taxes going to? My taxes are supposed to be going to the greater good of the country, even the state, fixing roads up and shit. My taxes are going into these crooked politicians' pockets. It's going into their fucking pockets. That's where it's going. It's not fixing the nation up. Why is crime rate still up? Why does California and places like Detroit and New York City look like a goddamn cesspool? All trashy and shit. Didn't look like that in the 1930s or the 40s. That shit started alongside, what, the 1960s and 70s, especially the hippie movement and shit like that. Now, if you look at places like California, Detroit, Baltimore, New York City, anywhere else, all trashy, homeless people raiding the streets and shit. But you know, Trump does this. It's going to make 80 to 90% of America happy, because all that money that they make, it's not going to go out to taxes anymore. It's going to be their buck. That extra money that's going to go into their bank account. Even though for many decades they said that, you know, income taxes, you know, you're help paying to keep the deficit down, you know. It's like, well, country's already like billions of dollars in the deficit. So how does Trump plan on clearing out the deficit? Well, we just cut the federal spending, stopped it in its tracks, did that with Doge. But these taxes, you put an external tax on them. So that money coming into the country, when we get goods from, other countries, if it still comes in, hey, the taxes is going toward the deficit. That's what Trump wants to do. He wants to clear the deficit. He wants to cut the deficit. He wants to lower it. This country has lost so much money under Biden's reign. Even under Obama's reign for some. We've lost so much money. Why do countries use tariffs, though? They are a way for countries to control international trade. By artificially raising the cost of importing goods, tariffs can incentivize would-be importers to instead purchase goods from domestic sellers, potentially strengthening the local economy. Politics can also play a role. Governments can adjust tariffs to exert economic leverage over political rivals and retaliate against other tariffs and economic sanctions. Tariffs also generate revenue for importing countries, though in developed countries and today's global economy, they tend to be used more to achieve foreign policy goals than financial ones. And right now, Trump is trying to go financially because we're in debt because of Biden, because of the Democrats. I love going to New York City, but yeah, the amount of homeless there is nuts. Yeah. It really is. It's skyrocketed. Even under Biden, it's skyrocketed. They don't give two fucks about the homeless. All they cared about was bringing thousands upon thousands of illegals into this country and giving them apartments, trailers, mobile homes, motels, and such. And yet we got homeless people living out on the street. We got veterans that are homeless living out on the street. These people, they turn to drugs and shit because they have nowhere else to go. They have nothing else to do. They got to find some way of keeping themselves occupied. They got to find some way of living. I mean, shit. They won't do anything. They didn't do anything for the homeless under Biden. But they sure as hell would put some fucking illegals into a goddamn home. Even telling people, hey, house some illegals. House them. Do what Anne Frank did. House some people. Yeah. Look how well that turned out for you all. Who pays the tariffs? In a literal sense, companies that are importing the goods from international trade partners. They're the ones that pay the tariff fees to CBP at the point of entry within 10 days. When the U.S. raises tariffs, U.S. companies importing goods are responsible for paying those tariffs. Okay? But as an economic policy, tariffs have implications beyond the money exchange at the border. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this indirectly raises domestic prices on goods as supply and demand forces often push the burden onto consumers in the importing country. How do tariffs impact prices? In a supply and demand economy, when supply of a certain commodity goes down, prices tend to go up because there is less of a commodity available to meet the demand. Tariffs, like all taxes, drive an economic wedge between what an importer pays and what an exporter receives as payment. Tariffs, by design, in some cases, lower competition on domestic sellers. If a buyer needs to pay more to import a good, more buyers may buy domestically or from another import partner, which means these sellers can increase prices, artificially disincentivizing buyers from participating in international markets, effectively shortens the global supply. In 2009, increased tariffs on tires imported from China led to a 67% drop in the volume of Chinese tires. As a result, U.S. buyers started purchasing more from domestic sellers and other international sellers, which could sell for higher prices with the Chinese competition burdened by a tariff. The cost was passed on to consumers. So basically, in a sense, if I'm gathering this right, and it's what Trump has always said, put tariffs on the shit, They want to sell us junk? All right, let's put tariffs on this fucking junk. But in all while, Let's work on making the shit back here at home. We need American-made products. We don't need anything from China or Japan or Vietnam or Afghanistan or Iraq or anywhere in Africa or anywhere in Europe. We don't need that shit. Everything that they supply to us, we can have here. What do we get from Ukraine? From what I gathered, one of the things we get from Ukraine is wheat. Wheat is made. Wheat is used in a lot of things. It makes bread and shit. Why can't we grow wheat here? We have farmlands. We have fields. We can grow shit. But you know what? There's a lot of politicians out there that rather tear down land and build condominiums. Yeah. Here in Maryland, I see way too many condominiums. Yeah, it was under Obama. It was 2009. But yeah, here in Maryland, I see too many condominiums. Apartments that cost $2,000 and up for a 2-bedroom apartment. Or right up the road from me, I kid you not, right up the road from me, those apartments exist, but they're more for Section 8 housing. Section 8. You know, that's where all the criminals come down from the city. They don't have a job, they don't have no money, so they apply for Section 8. And they get these nice-ass apartments that I can't afford. Yeah. Yeah. Those kind of apartments. They're popping up all over. All these areas where, you know, where we have forests and woods and land that we can use for, you know, maybe farmland and shit, all being taken up to build condominiums. They're not doing houses anymore. You're not seeing houses, you're seeing condominiums. But guess what? Here's one good thing that's going to come here soon. And Trump did tease about it. From what I've read, he plans on ending the Section 8 housing shit. He plans on ending that shit. Yeah. Anybody on Section 8? Guess what? Time to go to work, motherfucker. It's time to go to work. It's not 2020 anymore. It's not 2021 anymore. There is no foreign virus that was made in a lab anymore. It's time to get your ass out there and get a fucking job, you bums. Because I tell people, if your legs can move, if your arms can lift, if your lips can move making sound, motherfucker, you can work. Now, yeah, granted, I know there are people who are disabled and they can't do much. I say anybody who's disabled, those are the true beings that deserve something like that. Even if it's, you know, some kind of, you know, government funding, you know, like, you gotta make some kind of living. You gotta have something to come in if you're unable to do something. If you're unable to do what anyone else can do, if you're paraplegic, if you have some kind of mental disability, I say those are the people that deserve that kind of leverage from the government, if at all, because you're not able to do much. Yeah, I bet the dams were, yeah, they're raging all over it, man. But I will say, like, I know you're paraplegic yourself, Hoyt. I know, and you're gonna most likely require somebody to look after you, you know, up until the day you pass and all. I mean, I'm not saying that you're, you know, you're not self-efficient. You know, I know you pretty much, you could do anything that you push yourself to. But anybody out there that's not able to do that, you know, somebody who's bedridden or somebody who can't move, you know, they require some kind of assistance. You can't just let somebody sit or lay there and die, you know, you can't do that. But these people that are out there that can walk around and do things like lift heavy boxes, lift over 40 pounds and shit, but they're the ones that are like, I can't do anything, man. I can't do anything. I can't do that. Bullshit. You were seen lifting a goddamn box that was 100 pounds. Get your fucking ass down to Walmart and get a job, you bum. Those are the ones I'm talking about, you know? The ones that make it an excuse. They make an excuse not to do anything. Those are the ones. It's pathetic. It's pathetic that one day some retard in some city who's like, I can't do it. I'm too weak. I can't do this. I'm sorry. I can't. Motherfucker, look at me. I'll tell you all about me. So for the last few months, my right arm, up in my upper arm, toward my shoulder blade, for whatever reason, just started hurting. I don't fucking know what it is. It still hurts to this day. Like right now, it's not hurting. But if I go to lift something or move my arm in a certain way, like right now, yeah, I feel just a little bit of pain. Even if I lift a bag with this arm, I feel a little bit of pain shooting through it. It's worse when I lay down and sleep, especially if I toss and turn and that thing starts fucking hurting. I feel it. Yeah, they're all pussies. I know, man. But even somebody like me who has a pain in this arm and can barely move or lift things, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, I can't do that because my arm hurts. No, you know what I do? I push myself sometimes. I know my limits. If I feel like I can't lift something with this arm, I don't try it. But if I know I can and I can tolerate it, I'll do it. So I got fucking bins in my back room that are like, shit, I don't know, close to 100 pounds full of shit. I can fucking pull that shit off and move it around. I can still do that stuff. Yeah, it's going to hurt me, but you know what? I'm not going to sit there like a pussy like a lot of these motherfuckers are and make excuses for myself. If I can do it, I'm going to do it. I still work. I know I need to work. I know I need to be out there to make a buck, to support myself, to support my family and such. I got to do what I got to do. Now, if I was in a position where I couldn't do it, I would imagine I would have some kind of assistance or government assistance or something to help me out, you know? Like, I may be in a bed, or I may be in a wheelchair, or I may have no legs and no arms, but you know what? People get around like that. People do get around like that. But not without any kind of assistance, not without any kind of help whatsoever. There's this guy I follow. I keep forgetting his name. I see videos of him all the time. He has these little nubs that he calls chicken wings on his arms, you know? This motherfucker, he's got both legs. He's normal. He's just has a birth defect where, you know, he has arms up to his elbows, and he has, like I said, he calls them chicken wings and shit, you know? He does these videos online. This motherfucker games. He does reviews. He eats. He does all this shit. He drives around. This motherfucker gets around. This guy, he's viral on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I follow him on different platforms and shit. I really envy this guy, you know? He's a cool guy. This guy does 10 times more than your average pussy out there that wants to be on Section 8, that wants to claim EBT, that says that they can't work because, well, they don't want to. They give all these fucking excuses as to why they don't want to fucking work or why they quote-unquote can't work, you know? These are the motherfuckers living off my fucking dime. Well, guess what? Hopefully here soon with what Trump said is true, we're going to eliminate the goddamn Section 8 shit. We're going to eliminate the Section 8 shit. That's exactly what we're going to fucking do. Hopefully it's done soon. I would love to see the faces on Democrats when it happens. I would love to see the face on people that are like, now what am I going to do? I'm not going to have anywhere to live. I'm not going to be able to eat. Yeah, you are. You're just going to have to go out there and get a job, buddy. You're going to have to go online or go to a place that's hiring and get a paper application. Oh my God, you got to be literate. You got to be able to read such big words on an application that says sex, name, address, occupation. Oh my fucking God, that's a heart attack. Oh, Jesus. I think I had a stroke. Oh my God, I think I had a stroke. These motherfuckers got to go out and read words. They got to go out and write words. Holy shit, they got to remember what their names are. They got to remember the color of their eyes or their gender. Oh my God. God forbid they have an application that says, are you male or female? Oh my God. It amazes me. That is today's fucking society. But you know what? The normal people are coming back and reigning supreme. if you're LGBT, if you're a fucking refrigerator, if you're a fucking transmission, if you're trans this, if you're trans that, if you're like, I was born a man, but I'm a woman. I'm a woman. This is how I am, and vice versa. Guess what? I don't give a fuck what the hell you are. You're a mutant for all I fucking care. I don't give a fuck about their feelings. I never have. I never will. I'm going to call you a he. I'm going to call you a she. And if I hear one fucking word mutter from their sewers that says, you mispronounce you mispronoun, I'm like, shut the fuck up. You got balls, right? Use them or grow them. You're a fucking man or you're a fucking woman. I don't give a fuck. Fuck your feelings. Don't come at me with that. Oh, you misgendered me. You said, suck my misgendered dick. And I use that metaphorically. God damn, man. All this fucking shit that happened. But yeah, let me revert back around real quick when I was talking about video games earlier. So before we got into tariffs, okay, I know I was talking about tariffs and shit, but let's revert back to that real quick before I end today's show. So Nintendo raised their price of the Switch 2 to $449. I knew it was going to be a high price because for everything that the console does that it could come with, it's the next generation of Nintendo, right? You're going to be able to fucking video cam people while playing games and game share this and that and do all these cool things, right? And they were very upfront with their demonstrations of how the camera works and shit and how it's going to react, when it first comes out. It's like, okay, at least they're being open and honest about it. Prices of video games going up to $80, $90 for Nintendo, and then of course Microsoft kicks in and say, yeah, at the end of the year, the new Xboxes, they're going to be close to $700, and the video games are going to go up to $80, $90 depending on the company that distributes them and sells them and markets them and all that. All because Nintendo did it. And then I had a buddy of mine who was like, well, I hope Sony don't do that because I want to get a PS5 soon. And it was like, well, guess what? 2 days later, I told him this. Sony is rumored to be doing it. He's like, fuck. I guess I will stop playing video games then. I'm like, you don't have to stop playing video games. Jesus Christ. The cost of video games in the last 50 years, yes, 50 years, people. We've had in-home video game consoles since the Magnavox Odysseys and the Atari 2600s. Video games have been around in our homes for over 50 years. That's a long, half a fucking century, people. We, the people that sit there and stuff, have been playing video games in home for over 50 years. Even in arcades, over 50 years. Damn. That's a long time. But yeah, within that time period, depending on the economy then, depending on our wages, our salaries, depending on what we were making in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, gaming consoles have been expensive. They have been. Let me look up a little statistic, okay? How much was Super Nintendo back then? Okay, how much was Super Nintendo when it launched? When the Super Nintendo launched, it was $199, right? Now, by today's standard, people don't see that. They're like, oh, Super Nintendo was $199? That's not a lot. That's not expensive. No, that's good for 1991. Well, hold up. What was minimum wage in 1991? So today, if Nintendo released the Super Nintendo today at $199, what's our minimum wage right now? In most states, it's up to $17, $18 an hour, right? I know in PA, Jeff told me in PA, some areas it's still $7.25 an hour. I started at $7.25. That was back in 2005. You can't afford anything off of that. So yeah, today, if it released for $200, shit, you're making $18 an hour. You don't have that fucking Super Nintendo your next paycheck, man. If you don't have any bills and shit, you'll have it pretty soon. In 1991, when that thing was $199, people were making the federal wage was $4.25. $4.25, people. That is not a lot to work off of. People were making nickels and dimes back then. That's not a lot of money that you're trying to save up for. Back then, people had to pay bills out the ass. People were paying rent. People were paying mortgages, life insurance policies, everything. But even still, at $4.25 an hour, $200 is a long way away. You had to have a fucking millionaire type job to be able to buy something like that. You would have to be working for the government or something, you know? High-end, high-tech stuff. If you're working at McDonald's, if you're working at a fucking store like Ames or early Walmart, making $4.25 an hour, if you start early enough, you might have it by Christmas. So depending on the times, the way the economy was, depending on how inflation was, that's still an awful lot. People look at that, it's like, oh, it was only $200 back then. People would afford that. You didn't live back then. You weren't alive back then. Even if you were, you probably understand your parents' struggle to get you that new Super Nintendo and shit if they had the money saved up for it, you know? It's still a struggle. You gotta look at the facts that video game prices for consoles and such, they were still high. And it's not just because of the type of console it was all because the tariff act. Depending on where it came from, you know? Even if it was made in America, some parts were made in Taiwan, some parts were made in China, some in, you know, Japan, wherever. The cost of parts and labor and stuff like that, that's why the consoles are so high. Yes. That's why they are. Now, today's standards, you know, yeah, everybody's going to put blame and everybody's going to blame Trump for the tariffs. They think it's all brand spanking new when the tariff act has been around for over 200 goddamn years, you know? Over 200 years. So why not? Let's blame Trump for the fact that the Nintendo Switch is going to be $450. Let's blame him for the fact that Microsoft, which is an American company, I mean, they do span between Europe and such, yeah, but it's an American-based company. Microsoft, for fuck's sake. They're scooching up the price of the Xbox Series X to $500, maybe $600 or $700 by the end of the year because of Trump's tariffs. We have software companies that make the games in America, right here in America. Hell, where I live at in Maryland, I'm only a half hour or so away from Bethesda Game Studios in Rockville, Maryland. Yeah, you know Bethesda games, the games that you play, like Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remake or the Fallout series, you know, games like that. They're all made down here in Maryland. Shit, I'm fucking proud of that. That's the only thing I'm proud about being in Maryland is, hey, I'm a half hour away from Bethesda Studios, you know? A company that is in America, formed in America, runs in America. That fart was made in America. God damn. So why would games like that need to cost $80, $90 by the end of the year? And don't you dare sit there and tell me it's because of Trump's tariffs. I don't want to fucking hear tariff when it comes to shit like that. I don't want to hear it. Why should there be any reason for video game prices to go up? Why should there be any reason for them to hike up? Unless Biden still has some hidden inflation tactics hiding in there, you know, that's keeping Trump at bay for right now until he can get them down. I don't fucking know. But people were freaking out almost a month ago when they announced the Switch 2. and that games like Mario Kart World was going to be $80 digital, $90 physical. I already did a video or a stream about that. You guys can go back and check that out. But people are crying over it. Why are the games going to be so expensive? We're not going to buy games anymore. The video game crash of 2025. Ah! 30 years ago, when people were playing Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, people were buying games like Mortal Kombat for $80. People were buying Street Fighter for $60. People bought Super Mario World for, I don't know, $50, $60, maybe $70. Video games have always been in a range between $50 and $80, $90 for the last 30 years. Yeah, we had a staple for a while there for the last 15, 20 years or so, where games were $59.99, you know, $60 range for a typical game. That's been a staple. That's what we've grown up with. We've grown up with the notion that games coming out brand new were going to be $60 or less. No more, right? Times are changing now. Now we're going to be paying $70, $80, maybe close to $90 for a video game, right? If you can afford it, though. People are crying the fact that Mario is going to be $80, $90. When in fact 30 years ago, Mario was $60, $70. When in fact that, by today's standards, take a look at a game like Call of Duty. How many people are buying Call of Duty still? The most recent one, Black Ops 6. I got it through Game Pass. I pay for Game Pass. I might as well I use it to every advantage I can to play new games and shit that are added to it and all. I beat Black Ops 6 campaign. I played a multiplayer a little bit here and there. But people who buy the game still, of course, buy them for $70. Base game, $70. Then you got a season pass. Season passes come out every 2.5, 3 months, right? So a season pass is $15, $20. And then you got people that sit there bragging about buying all these cosmetic items for your in-game shit. You know, you buy weapon skins, character skins and shit. All that stuff using coin, in-game currency, right? That you're paying out. Let's say if you buy 2,400 coins, that's $20. So if a Ninja Turtle costs 2,400 coins, you're paying $20 to buy a fucking Ninja Turtle skin. Because they did say when the Ninja Turtle skin pack came out for Black Ops 6 to buy everything, all 4 turtles, Casey Jones or whatever else they offered in that thing, you were going to pay over $100. So the same people that are crying over the fact that Mario Kart World is going to be $80 are paying $70, $100. Or even a deluxe edition or collector's edition, paying close to $200 for one fucking game, but yet you'll turn around and say, Nintendo's not supposed to charge $70, $80 for a game. They're supposed to be the hero of the savior. You motherfuckers have been paying for these games high prices for 30 fucking years, and you want to cry about it now? If you don't like video games nowadays, if you don't like how games have evolved, if you don't like how they are, there's a simple solution for it. Stop buying and playing them. Stop giving into them. If you want to find a whole new hobby, by all means. I'm not telling you to do so. But what I am telling you is you either do it or shut up and don't do it. There's no need to fucking complain about it, because at the end of the day, if Billy Bob down the street had it in his head that everything he said is what the American people and what anybody else around the world needs to go off of, we always sit there and say, shut your fucking hole or we'll shut it for you. We don't give a fuck about your opinion. If you don't fucking like it, Billy Bob, fuck off and shut up. Keep it to yourself. No one else gives a fuck. If you don't want to keep playing video games because they're too expensive, then don't. Just shut up about it. Your opinion does not fucking matter to us. You're not the voice of millions of people around the world. But all in all, people are still going to play video games. They're still going to buy them. Regardless. They're still going to play them. If you choose not to play something, don't do it. That's what I do. Do I want to play some of the newer Mario games that are out there, that have been out there for the last 5-6 years on Switch, and they're still fucking $60? Do I plan on getting them? If I have the money for it, I will. But until then, I guess I'm not going to play it. I got hundreds upon hundreds of games on my Xbox, PC. I even get the classics set up. I got a PS2 sitting under my monitor. Over near the TV, I got a Nintendo Wii I just hacked and homebrewed. I got a Sega Genesis. I got a Nintendo Switch in my living room. I got games everywhere that I could play and enjoy. I got games that I haven't played yet or even beaten yet that I could still enjoy. Do I give a fuck that Mario Kart World is going to be $80, $90? I don't give a shit. If I end up getting it sometime in the future, I'll get it. I ain't worried about it right now. Video gaming has always been an expensive hobby. It will still be an expensive hobby at the end of the day. It's just a question, a personal question for each and every one of us. Do I still want to continue playing or not? It's a very expensive hobby. That's all you got to look at. People still play it. They still have a passion for it. Whether the software is expensive or not, whether the hardware is expensive or not. It's a passionate hobby for a lot of people. It is. It's not something that sits there and for somebody like Frank and Joe to sit there and say, they're expensive as fuck. It's a piece of shit. I played it. The graphics ain't all that great. They don't have any great games for it. Well, that's your opinion. Yes, you're entitled to your opinion, but are you the voice for millions of people out there that play the games? Fuck no. Don't sit there and say, don't buy this shit. It's junk. We tried it out. It's complete garbage. You shouldn't play it. You shouldn't have it. Fuck off. Go stuff Biden's dick down your throat, shut up, and move on. Are you allowed to your opinion? Yes, you are. But you also have the right to sit there and shut up and stuff. And you know what? That does it for today's stream, guys. Thank you all for watching. I'm surprised my boy Cat in America didn't come in. Usually he's looking forward to these streams and all. Hopefully I'll see him next time. But I'm glad to have you here, Hoyt. My boy Kevin popped in for a second. Jeff popped in for a second earlier, which is all good. To anybody else who's listening, to anybody else who's watching the stream after it was live, I want to thank you guys so much for checking it out. And I want to thank you guys for leaving that like and leaving that subscription down below. So far, looking back, shit, I gained like 70-some followers within the last 4 days. And you guys are amazing for coming by and checking out the content. Thank you for being here, for supporting it. You guys are all awesome. I'm glad you guys enjoy the podcast. I'm glad you guys enjoy the gaming streams and such. And that does it for today's episode of Tune In Live. Once again, thank you guys. I'm going to try to be around here. Well, actually, next Friday, I won't be around here. I will tell you guys that right off the bat. Next Friday, there will not be a stream. There won't be a show next weekend. I'm going to be going to Ocean City with Mel and some friends of mine. We're going there for a music festival down there in Ocean City. We're going to be gone for about 2 or 3 days, so there won't be any streams. But I'm going to try to get as much content filmed as I can for you guys and get it uploaded on the channel so you guys can check out and see what was going on and stuff. So yeah, don't be looking for a stream next Friday. I will put it on social media. I'll put it on Discord. Make sure you guys follow me on those platforms to get updates for future streams. And I'm out of here, guys. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, stay tuned in.
What we do here is go back.